start us off, Serge.
Welcome to Polygonal Podcast, Polygon Perspective Podcast. This is a special stream we're doing, not stream, a special episode, I guess, where we're going to be sitting down and talking over the 2023 PlayStation Showcase. We've got about 10 minutes or so before it starts. Just a quick note that we have a new graphics, new background done by my partner Nelda. She's an artist. She's been doing all the graphics for this podcast from the beginning, and now we have a new one, so that's cool. I've been playing Diablo 4, the server slam that was happening on the last weekend, and I think this is pretty much the last one they'll have before the game comes out. So tried a barbarian. It was pretty cool, so I'm looking forward to the game. Just about ready to start playing it proper. Actually, I also fought a world boss, and it really felt like a WoW raid. So I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, it's. I feel like a lot of Blizzard games are kind of converging into the same type of game. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, maybe they're not there quite yet with that stuff, but it sometimes feels like that. A lot of the design decisions they're making in Diablo 4, I can see the lessons they learned in from WoW, like coming into Diablo 4. I guess it makes sense. I don't know. We'll see how that plays out over the months and years to come. I've also had a chance to play Street Fighter 6 beta. Unfortunately, Ian didn't get a chance to do that this weekend. I jumped in, tried the training mode. It was a bit of a pain in the ass to get to it. You have to create a character first to get to the hub, and from a hub you have to find an arcade cabinet. You have to sit down, and then if no one joins you, then they let you do a training. Once you get to the gameplay, it's the Street Fighter game, right? So so all of that convoluted process to getting to the training it's not going to stop me from playing the actual game, but it was a bit annoying. It has two controller modes, classic and modern, and the modern one is actually interesting. Have you read about it? Because it's what they did is essentially they pretty much made it like controls in Tekken, where the moves are a combination of a button and a directional input, but it's mostly like forward, back, down, and up. How do you feel about that?
Cool. Yeah, I think it's okay. I mean, I think these games with the mass market appeal of like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat have real potential to bring in new players to fighting games, and then once they're brought in, they could be lured into potentially more hardcore games when they're ready. So as long as Street Fighter isn't compromising too much, I think assistant kind of stuff like that is totally fine. Usually these things are designed in such a way that the classic control scheme has an advantage anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit conflicted about this. First of all, I hope that I would be able to filter out people who have modern control scheme away from me if I choose to play classic. And also, one of the things that kind of made me struggle with Street Fighter sometimes is the actual control and the inputs of commands. The classic fireball is an elaborate input. Down, forward is quite. It could be. If you are asked to input that 10 times, maybe 3 out of 10 you're gonna miss that input, right? But you're never gonna miss forward and X, for example. So at certain level, I always wanted that control scheme from in Street Fighter to be more similar to Tekken, but at the same time, I think Capcom is going way further than that. They even have things like automatic combos, all sorts of stuff like that. And at the very least, I hope that, I don't think you can stop that wave, but I hope that at least there will be a space for players like myself who want classic controls, or modern maybe, but at least without any sort of automation in terms of like combos and stuff like that.
Well, command inputs are one of the most controversial aspects of fighting game design, and there's always a lot of people, particularly people outside the genre, who want them changed. And it's never as easy as just. I mean, physically, it takes longer to implement or to input a Shoryuken than a Hadouken, and so that has an effect on gameplay. So there's all kinds of knock-on effects. Should be interesting to see how they tune that. If you can input something faster and modern than classic controls, if there's just like a delay, before your character executes the action, because there has to be at the very least parity between the two control setups, if not an advantage towards classic.
Yeah, I don't think they can ever achieve some sort of situation where both can be used at the same time. There's just no way. I'll be surprised if they can find a way. I would much rather they just segregate the player base. It's not ideal. I would just not even have that, but it is what it is. You know, if people want to just press a button and execute like a long string combo, and are they gonna feel good about themselves? I don't know. Maybe they'll just have fun, and maybe that's the point. But I want to know that I'm playing against somebody who is on the same playing field as I am. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Well, something's happening here with the stream. I think it's starting, I guess.
We got 3 minutes left, so I don't know. Real quick, do you have any like hopes and expectations for this thing? I mean, this is Sony's big showcase of the year. Essentially, we're getting an hour of presumably new game announcements and some looks at some existing games, some recently announced stuff. So what do you think is going to be there, and what do you want to see?
So I was struggling to think of anything that I could kind of predict, but then I realized that it's also a PSVR 2 stream. I think we're going to see a lot of that, a lot of PSVR 2 titles. I think maybe Kojima is going to show up with his new potentially horror game. We might see maybe something new on titles like Pragmata, even though that's not a PlayStation exclusive as far as I know, but it kind of feels like it was always being shown on the PlayStation side of things. So maybe we'll see more of that. Otherwise, yeah, I think a lot of PSVR 2 stuff, really.
And what do you want?
Actually, I'm not sure if I want maybe Dragon's Dogma 2.
No, yeah. That could that's on my potential. We might see that list. I think we might see that.
Yeah, and what about you then?
I suspect we're going to see more of Spider-Man 2 and the Wolverine games, or the Wolverine game, the two Marvel games from Insomniac. I wonder if we might get a tease of some other big first-party stuff like Ghost of Tsushima 2, or potentially Sony London. They're working on that service game set in London. We don't know much about it beyond just the concept art, but I wonder if we might see that kind of stuff. I think we might see some stuff like Mortal Kombat 12 gameplay.
You mean Mortal Kombat 1, right?
Oh, sorry. Yes, Mortal Kombat 1, yeah. Mortal Kombat 1 gameplay, because there was never any Mortal Kombat 1 before this. They're going to call it Mortal Kombat 1 brackets 1993. I mean,
it's
now.
I guess it's one of the things that's been announced recently, and then we didn't have a chance to talk about it yet, but Mortal Kombat 1 has been announced. I can't. I guess it looks like it's back to basic, back to like the original roster, I guess. But I think maybe Shang Tsung is going to be playing a lot bigger role this time around.
Yeah, I'm not an MK guy. I kind of I dipped out after MK4, whatever that was. So but it's coming out in September, so there's only a few months with which they can show it off. So it seems pretty obvious that it'll be at one of these events, whether that's here or whether it's at the Xbox showcase. I wonder how it's going to look, because I think they said they confirmed it's going to be on the Switch, right? So usually those games are big graphical showcases.
Well, from the trailer, it looks pretty damn good. So I don't think Switch can pull that off unless it's some sort of different version of that game. It looks like the next Mortal Kombat, honestly. You there's gore. Even in the trailer, there's already like bodies being decapitated and turned into mush. So, all right, there we go.
Cool. Okay, it's starting here. Woo! Oh, and we'll see FF7 Remake Part 2. I think we're gonna get that.
You want to know about us? Seems like everyone does these days. It's simple. Too much money and too much power is held by just a few people. And it's only getting worse.
I'm assuming the people tuning in here have probably already seen this stream at this point, since seeing as we're not streaming this, so we can probably talk a little more over this.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like a next Ubisoft thing. You know, the resistance, the fight the power, fight the man, fight the company.
Haven. I haven't heard of this developer. First thing I'm thinking from the CG trailer is it's some kind of extraction shooter, maybe?
Well, I'm seeing the aesthetic that has been going on for quite a number of years now. All these, you know, spray paint, colorful thing. Oh, there you go. The purple spray paint.
Yeah, the hip hop licensed music.
You know, the Rage 2, the Far Cry 5.
Yeah. Fair games.
Oh man, such a hard pass on this.
I mean, what do you feel about CG trailers?
They're fine.
Games?
They're fine, honestly. It's just it's not about that for me, honestly.
Because to me, it's mostly a money pit. I kind of feel like especially if it's a new IP, you need to sell me on gameplay.
President and CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment. I'm delighted to be here today to introduce what's next for PlayStation 5. We're now into the third year of the life cycle of PS5, and we've been fortunate to have so many fan-favorite titles released on the platform. What's even more exciting is that developers are just scratching the surface of what's possible with the gaming experiences that they create. Today, you'll get a glimpse into some of the most breathtaking and imaginative content that will be coming to PS5 and PlayStation VR 2. And now, what you've all been waiting for. Enjoy the show.
Yes, yeah, I feel like you can make a CG trailer for Death Stranding 2 because Death Stranding 1 already exists. And it's easy to sell me on that. But if it's a new IP and I don't know what the gameplay is, or if it isn't like actually indicative of the real gameplay, then I want to see gameplay first.
Yeah, fair enough. Actually, yeah, I was gonna say I know this what this is.
Look familiar?
Hells yeah, Starship Troopers.
These are happening all over the galaxy, right?
Oh, is this Starship Troopers?
Hells yeah.
You could be next. That is, unless you make the most important decision.
Or is it just another satire?
Prove to yourself that you have the strength and the courage to be.
No, they are making it.
I feel like half the games released these days are Starship Troopers, like that kind of Fallout kind of satire. Yeah, kill everything. Isn't killing fun and dumb?
Experience true freedom.
Requesting air support!
The freedom to travel the galaxy and secure the resources we need.
Oh, this is not at all what I expected.
The freedom to encounter fascinating life forms and introduce them to our sophisticated technology. The freedom to make new friends and represent the best of what Super Earth has to offer. Become part of an elite peacekeeping force and work together to spread prosperity, liberty, and democracy. Become part of something larger than yourself. Become a hero. Become a legend. Become a helldiver.
Yeah, there you go. It's not Starship Troopers. It's Helldivers 2.
Oh man. Well, there you go.
See, every game these days is Starship Troopers.
I remember the first Helldivers, and I was like, "Oh, this looks like a clone of Starship Troopers."
The first one was all right. It's a fun little game. It was kind of like a smaller scale isometric game. That looks like a much bigger experience.
Oh, this game! I actually wanted to talk about this on a podcast.
Is this the one with Vin Diesel?
I don't think so, but this, yeah.
I'm thinking of Ark, Survival Evolved. Okay, now that's a shooter.
Nightblades have established a stronghold, and Kirkin seems to think you might not get me killed. Jury's still out on that one.
I watched a different trailer for this. I guess the older trailer, and it has this Netflix / Forspoken vibe. Everyone's witty, everyone has a one-liner, everyone's very animated, and everyone knows exactly what to say, when to say it. They're mildly funny. Look at this guy.
It's the Marvel writing. It's the Joss Whedon dialogue.
Your men killed my family. Don't turn your back on me!
Seems a little more genuine than something like Forspoken. Actually, did you see that Forspoken just got a patch to make your NPC characters speak less during gameplay?
Oh, right, no. I know they announced the DLC or an expansion or something like that. Immortals of Avium? I don't know.
Avium?
Yeah.
Avium? I like that we're seeing a lot of new IPs.
I was gonna say, is this the line 2 or something?
Oh, is this a sequel to that indie game, Ghost Runner? That was pretty fun. Yeah.
Cool. But this is 505 games,
Yeah, that's
though, right?
Yeah.
Have you played the first one then?
I have, yeah. It's quite a fun little I guess action adventure, like fast-paced parkour movement.
Just run away. It won't make any difference at the end of the day. You know better than anyone else. That no one could escape.
This looks cool.
Everyone wears a mask. You too. This is a real face.
He let you live? What secret did you sell him?
Well, that fight definitely looked cool.
Yeah, he was attacking two enemies, in front and behind him. It's got this sort of kind of horror tinged thing going on.
I'm a bit sus of how much of this is scripted cutscene and how much of this is gameplay, but It looks cool.
One last toast, and we're all done.
Oh man, that that looks like, you know, crouching tiger, like flying dragon moment.
Time is not on his side. All we have to do is wait. Yes.
Yeah, hopefully this is not going to be the case of like some sort of Uncharted 4 situation where, you know, it looks cool in motion until you fail and then restart, and then suddenly, you know, your immersion breaks and you have you know, it suddenly doesn't look as cool anymore in these fights. Phantom Blade 0.
Get my heart back.
Coming to PS5, but not exclusively. If they don't say exclusive, just assume it's not an exclusive. This looks like Journey.
Never played that one.
Oh, that's an excellent game. Oh, Abzu. Oh, that was great. And Journey. There you go. Yes, this is my jam.
I feel like you will know exactly what you're getting into with this type of game. As soon as they said Journey, you know what you're going to be doing.
I mean, this is in the lineage of games like Eco, right? Stretching all the way back with the kind of the sparse visuals, the sparse mechanics.
You know, in Eco, you are fighting enemies and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, it's more like a puzzle game, you know.
Still fighting enemies though.
Yeah, but that's not. It's still in the lineage, the philosophy of something like that. Did you play The Last Guardian?
No, I haven't played that one.
Oh man, oh that's a great game too. You played Shadow of the Colossus, right?
No. I finished Ico and kind of stopped there with those.
Oh wow. Okay.
If we truly believed in what it means to be sentient, to face the universe without fear or delusion.
This looks the Talos Principle 2, something like that.
Imagine vast cities full of life and light. Great towers rising towards the sky.
Yeah, this looks like that. They announced that, did they? Already.
Oh, did they? I'm not sure.
I thought they did. You know, it's from the Serious Sam people.
That is crazy. Oh yeah, Talos Principle 2.
I think it's cool when a developer can bounce around between things so stylistically varied. One thing I like that we're seeing with PlayStation these days is that they include indie games front and center alongside the AAA titles. It's not like the indie titles are second class that have a separate presentation or something like that. Because I imagine it's a huge boon for these smaller developers to get a big marketing push behind this. You know, you've got probably at least 100,000 people tuning in right now to watch this.
Yeah, PlayStation has been good with that for a while now, actually.
Never coming out.
2024. Wow.
Cat Quest. This is a nice blend of 2D and 3D.
Yeah, it looks nice.
A blow. You know, when you see two characters like that, you immediately know that this is a cooperative shooter.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a showtime!
Well, there you go. More of the purple mist spray and bubbles.
Yeah.
And guns that look like toys, and the Fortnite look, and all the things you like.
Hear me out. What if this is all a big fake out for Kingdom Hearts 4? Oh, it's like Splatoon. This looks a lot like Splatoon. You can surf around in the stuff that your weapons create.
Yeah.
I think it's cute that that paintball became a different metaphor for gunplay in games. So you're not killing people. There's not blood spraying everywhere. They've subbed it up for something else. You know, Cliff Bleszinski once said that shooters like Gears of War were fundamentally about reaching out and touching someone with your gun. And when you think it like that, there's potentially all kinds of other ways that we could frame traditional violence in games.
Foam Stars. I feel like that's a very uninspired title. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, Coaches.
Welcome to the land of Mojo. Here we find Jot, the plucky squire, and his friends, Violet, Thrash, and pith. Our heroes protect the land from the villainous.
This is a really cute look too. See that shading they've got in the book? Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
There, Jock finds a whole new world to explore, with dangers, surprises, and attractively furnished accommodation. Our heroes must battle Humdrum across the two realms if they are to save their beloved land from his diabolical designs. Off the page and into adventure!
Plucky Squire, this looks nice, actually.
Yeah, yeah. So this is maybe some of the VR stuff. I wonder how much of this is going to be titles that are in both standard and VR. Because there was a big VR presentation a few months ago when the VR2 headset launched, wasn't there?
Yeah.
You know, when Battlefield 3, I think it was, came out and it had fully destructible environments, I wondered how long until we'd get like a proper Half-Life 3 or something with a fully destructible world.
I mean, this looks like some sort of Minecraft FPS.
No, it's not Minecraft. It's just using voxels.
Well, yeah, I guess that's what I mean.
I think, yeah, this is on Steam already. This has been on Steam for a while.
Cool.
You don't have a VR headset, right, Serge?
No, and if I ever got one, it wouldn't be a PSVR. It would be, you know, whichever is the latest, the one on PC.
Yeah, yeah. So does VR just not appeal to you?
No, I've enjoyed certain games, and you know, I would immediately play Half-Life Alyx, for example. But it's just that for me, there has to be a critical mass of games for me to trigger on buying that, and it just hasn't happened yet. Half-Life Alyx is probably the one on the list, but I need a few more before I can justify like £1,000 purchase.
Yeah, yeah. For me, yeah, definitely some of it's the price. I mean, a lot of it's just that they're just going to keep getting better, like really, really rapidly, because this is still kind of early years. I also, I mean, personally, I love checking out systems after they're passed too. Like, it might just be the kind of thing, like, I remember the PS Move on the PS3, I remember meeting someone in a parking lot, and for like $30 getting both of the Move controllers, the camera, and like a dozen of the games or something like that, and just trying them all for really cheap. Oh shit!
Oh shit!
Oh my god!
Nice. Man, I was not...
MGS3 remake.
Wow, that start was like, what is this indie game? But I did not expect Snake to show up.
Wow. Oh man.
Wait, is this... Oh, this is the Snake Eater remake. Oh man, this song...
Holy moly. Metal Gear Solid Triangle.
This song is so fucking good. And I'm so glad that they brought it back.
Great game. I can't wait to see how they will mess it up.
This is literally my favorite Metal Gear game, by the way.
Oh yeah? Coming to PS5, and then probably PC and Xbox as well.
This is so good.
Oh, hey, woo, Master Collection, cool.
Oh,
see, I'm happy about that as well.
We already have that, right?
On PS3, not PS4 or PS5,
right.
or Steam for the record. You can't. I think only MGS5, as far as the mainline games is concerned, is on Steam. So, it'd be nice. But yeah, without Kojima, looking at what we've seen of that Silent Hill 2 remake, I don't know.
Well, look, it'll be
cool to see.
Yeah, if at least they just copy what Metal Gear Solid 3 was, I'll be happy, I guess.
Well, that's what they're doing for the Silent Hill 2 remake, and I don't know if I agree with some of the aesthetic changes that you inevitably have to make when you bring it into a higher fidelity. You know, MGS3 has that great pseudo-stylized kind of look. I don't know if I trust them to pull it off, but I guess we'll see, right? You know, I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
This looks kind of cool. Wild. I'm not a huge fan of survival games, but also this is a cool looking world. I guess it's like Breath of the Wild, kind of. I mean, with that hang glider, definitely. FF16.
You have to believe us.
You're buying this one, right, Serge?
Yeah.
Day one?
I've pre-ordered it on PS5.
Just despite everything.
Yeah. Look, I have a lot of thoughts and feelings on this, but none of them will prevent me from playing it.
I don't know if you heard, the developers said that so far there is no day one patch planned for the game. That they are confident with what they've created.
That's a bold statement right there.
Yeah, they are very confident about this one.
Although that, you know, when a game comes out on a single platform, which doesn't happen often these days, I can kind of believe that they might be confident. It's literally a single platform.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people may not realize how good that is for you as a developer if you only have to worry about one single platform. It's so good for you.
Right. I think also just that, I mean, Square Enix really wants to change people's opinion. Even, you know, FF14's a massive hit, but it certainly didn't launch that way. So it's been a long time since they launched an FF day one to unanimous acclaim.
It's an interesting point to make. I don't know if I agree in general that this is a long-winded reaction to 14 still. I think this is more of evolution of what they, or like, you know, not even evolution, like they're still seeking and trying to find what it is that Final Fantasy is and what it will be in the future. And I don't know, we'll see how that goes with this title and what it means for the future.
That's a much larger discussion, but it's just nice to even hear that it sounds like they've given this game more than enough gestation time. Because even, you know, I like FF15, but that game got story cutscenes patched in at a later date. It got massive features added down the line with DLC and things like that. It didn't launch in a finished state.
Well, yeah, I mean, you'll be hard pressed to find anyone who would complain that a game comes out complete. You know, that everyone loves that. Fair enough.
Yeah. I guess I'm cautiously excited to see what they've pulled off. But I also don't have a PS5, and I'm probably not going to buy one anytime soon.
Well, so. Ian, I will definitely, rest assured, I will inform you extensively.
Not long now, less than a month. We are only halfway through this presentation.
Yeah. Do you think they're just going to do trailers, or they're going to do some kind of speech about PSVR maybe?
No, I think that stuff probably already happened at the PSVR reveal or showcase.
Oh, was that a separate one?
Yeah, that was a couple months ago when the headset launched, and they announced a bunch of games that were coming out, and they talked about the headset a bit, the hardware and the pricing. Oh, Alan Wake 2! Yes! Oh, I'm so excited for this one.
Oh yeah, they announced it.
You haven't played the first one, I'm guessing?
No. So this is a remake, right?
No, it's a sequel.
Oh, so the third game then?
No, this is Alan Wake 2.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so the first one's a good game. Remedy have made a lot of great games. Alan Wake is a good game. But hey, it's Sam Lake. That's the writer on the series, and they used his likeness for Max Payne.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, I it's like one of the games I haven't played yet, but I want to play for sure.
Yeah, it's a good game. It's definitely worth playing. I was really excited when they announced this one, and that they announced because the first Alan Wake is they call it a thriller. It's more of like a Stephen King kind of Twin Peaks sort of game. I think it's rated T in North America. It has creepy stuff, but it's not scary. And when they announced this, they said this is going to be an 18+ survival horror, hardcore horror game.
I mean, surely not survivor horror.
They said survival horror.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
I mean, that footage looked great. It looked. I mean, I got Resident Evil vibes from it.
Yeah, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
But the big thing that Remedy has going for them is they have some of the best stories in games these days. So it's, when you think about it, there aren't that many horror games that have really great stories. Silent Hill comes to mind, but aside from that, and maybe some indie titles, which obviously can't compete with the scope of a big budget game. There's nothing quite like what I think we're gonna get.
So here we're seeing what I'm hoping is a remake of the first Assassin's Creed, which is my favorite one. I only played the one. I'll admit that.
Yeah, I have also only played the first Assassin's Creed.
And I'm hoping that this is back to Altair. Certainly looks like that.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I feel like the franchise has really grown. I don't think the original was like a huge hit. Like it got like a decent reception, but it was really the second one that blew up in popularity. So why not remake the first one with all of the gameplay enhancements over the years for a whole new audience? I liked that kooky limb system they had in the original. Do you remember that? Where like to use a PlayStation controller for reference, like square and circle were your arms, triangle was your head, and X were your legs.
Wait, what? In Assassin's Creed?
In the original Assassin's Creed, there was this like limb system where you use the face buttons to select your limb, and then it changed what the triggers did.
I played it on PC, so.
Okay, well, it had really. I mean, I think people were not a huge fan of it because, I mean, mostly because it went against the grain of traditional game controls. But I thought it was kind of neat, kind of daring.
Assassin's Creed Mirage.
Finji's Canadian, I believe. I could be wrong here. I think it's a Canadian indie game publisher.
By the way, I feel like you're a few seconds ahead of me.
Oh, okay. I will delay my reactions accordingly.
Yes, please.
This is Night in the Woods.
That looks like that. Did that game need a second game? I guess.
I thought the creator passed away.
Yeah, he did.
Maybe I'm wrong.
He did. Well, one of them, I think.
What? Yeah, one of them. Yeah, maybe not the creator. Maybe this isn't that. Okay, it's not that. It's just a similar looking cat.
Revenant Hill. I feel like sometimes with indie games, it's really hard to tell just from these kind of trailers what the actual game is going to be. I mean,
yeah, what is it?
Yeah,
yeah. See, that's what I'm talking. When I talk about trailers, I think if it's a new IP, I much prefer gameplay. This looks like a JRPG. Airships. That's a real.
I think
JRPG
this is
heck
the
thing.
Grand Blue Fantasy, the RPG.
Okay, yeah. I want to play the fighting game from Arc System Works.
Yeah, it's just that it's based on the mobile IP that I will never play that mobile stuff. So, you know. I am interested in this one though. And to be honest, fighting game as well. It looks nice actually.
Yeah, it's a shame. It launched maybe a month before COVID hit, and it didn't have rollback netcode, so it doesn't have great online. And this is right when all of the tournaments and all the people playing it needed to go from playing in person to playing remotely. But rollback is a very hard thing to patch in because it is such a fundamental change to the way that logic is handled in your game that I don't think the developers were able to patch it in, essentially. Plus, you know, I assume they're on contracts with what they can and can't do with the IP. So the game kind of died right away.
Yeah. Obviously, you can still check it out. It's still there. I think it's still updating it and adding new people.
Actually, I do think they're doing like a sequel, like a super turbo version of it. So maybe that'll happen.
No, actually, I think they did. In fact, I think maybe they released it already or something. There was like an advanced version of that game.
Okay.
Continue to do what I have.
SF6. This comes out in like a week, maybe 10 days.
I feel
now?
like, do you think, man, like, should they be showing games that literally come out in a week? I don't know.
I guess it's good for their marketing. You know, if you don't know already, you can pretty much, if you start walking to your nearest game store, it'll be out by the time you reach it.
Yeah. So I was, like I mentioned at the start, I was checking out the beta and I was playing. Oh man, what's her name? This one. I was playing.
Jury?
No, this one here.
The other girl. I don't know.
I forgot her name.
I don't really know. I don't know the new roster.
So she actually has a couple of moves that are similar to Sakura's, which is why I chose her. So I might actually see if I can try her out.
She gives me Ibuki vibes because she's a ninja.
Yes, she has that as well. She's essentially a combination of Ibuki and Sakura.
Cool.
Not like a game.
I like the colors and the hip hop stylings of this game as opposed to some other stuff because it feels like it feels like a callback to Street Fighter 3.
I hate it.
And I don't know. It just feels. I like that it feels contemporary in a way.
This is literally the same thing as the the whole thing of the Purple Mist. I'm sorry. I know it's like they did this similar thing since 4 even, but for me it's just needs to go away. That whole spray can graffiti thing.
This looks like a Metroidvania.
Nice. Definitely going hard on style.
Looks okay.
Oh, this I'm looking forward to this game. I think, if it's the one I think.
What do you think it is?
I forgot the name, but it's like a mech, third-person mech action game. Oh no, never mind. I don't think it's that. Is this Blue Protocol?
These heavily stylized anime games are looking better and better with each passing generation of technology. At least in terms of capturing a 2D look, or abstracting a 2D look into 3D.
Yeah, ever since Code Vein, I felt like they kind of got there finally with that stuff. Tower Fantasy.
You go back and you play some PS2 stuff, and it all just looks very, very flat and a little drab compared to the 2D stuff that we're emulating. Oh my goodness, it's Dragon's Dogma 2.
Hells yeah.
Holy crow. I don't know if I said this on the podcast, but I was playing the original. I haven't actually finished it. I'm a naughty boy. I was kind of hoping I would be able to beat it in time for seeing more of this.
I mean, have you been playing it recently or like in general?
No, I started it a few weeks ago. The new Zelda's come out, so that's kind of whenever I want to play an open world game, that comes to mind. I think I put about, well, I'd say multiple times I put close to 20 hours into this game. I get a little further each time.
20 hours, Ian. You know how many hours, how many months? Man, I'm gonna play this game so hard. You like, I'm gonna take holidays, I think, for this.
I think I played it first maybe when it came out, and I have a soft spot for this game. It's one of those games it's incredibly flawed, but it just does so many cool things that you just don't see other games trying.
Yeah, to this day, surprisingly, like, it's amazing how often in our industry we don't learn from as much as we copy each other. We sometimes don't learn a lot of important lessons.
What I like is how it just sells a lot of the fantasies of tabletop role-playing.
Yeah, man, so good. I actually wasn't expecting them to have anything to show.
Oh, some more FNAF. I'm a big FNAF guy, Serge.
This franchise just flew over my head so hard. I wasn't even sure at the beginning if this was an actual game or some sort of visual novel or what it was. But
I have never played them.
Oh, wait! Didn't you say you were a fan?
I'm messing with you. Sorry, maybe I shouldn't. You know, no negativity in this podcast. There's enough negativity to go around everywhere. I don't have anything against Five Nights at Freddy's. It's just fun to say FNAF.
I feel I just want to know more about it before I even decide if I want to play any of them. So is this like a remake? Oh, second game. Is it like 5 of them?
I don't know if that's a sub-series, the Help Wanted sub-series. Okay, here's the VR stuff.
So what would make you buy a VR headset, Ian, then?
It's not the games. I think there are enough games that I care about.
How about Resident Evil 4?
In fact, this is Resident Evil 8, which I have already played.
Oh, right. Okay.
I think the price going down would help.
I mean, it's already
pretty honest,
cheap, though, right? It's one of the cheaper. It's fun.
I know. I understand that these things are pretty reasonably priced for what they are. I just think that the concept doesn't excite me enough to pay, the hundreds of pounds, £400 or whatever the costs to get like an entry level headset.
Yeah, I mean, for me, price is always a consideration, of course. But for me, it's more like it's being locked into PlayStation ecosystem more than anything else. You know, it's like there's too many interesting things on PC with VR for me to just buy a VR headset and never be able to play that there.
Yeah, they just released Cosmic Smash, which is one of my favorite arcade/Dreamcast games. They just released a sequel.
Oh wait, look, this is Resident Evil 4.
Exclusively for. Well, and 8. Oh wait, no, am I wrong? At the beginning, it looked like Resident Evil 8 because it's in first person.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was 4.
So that one's already. Oh wait, no, that's the remake. Oh, the remake. Okay, interesting. Because you can play the original game in VR already. But anyway, yeah, there's already an amazing game exclusively to PSVR 2. I'd love to play it without buying a PS5 and a VR 2 headset, because these things are probably £500 for a VR 2 headset.
Yeah, it's just like when you buy, like, let's say a PS5 controller, at least you know you'll be able to use it on PC as well. But with PSVR, you're so locked into that, and it's, I don't know.
Yeah. Like, I want to play the Cosmic Smash, but it's going to be £1,000 for me to buy a PS5 and a VR2 headset. Yeah. So, you know, I'm a huge Half-Life fan, but even Half-Life Alyx didn't make me run out and buy a VR headset. So, I will definitely pick up a VR headset at some point and catch up on all the stuff I've missed. I guess I just don't mind waiting. Is ultimately it is I can pick one up really cheap eventually, maybe used from someone, and then I can just have a blast checking out all the stuff I've mixed out on. I don't mind missing out on things and then catching up. I've been picking up a bunch of games on my Xbox One recently because I never had an Xbox One for the longest time. I got one for £50, and now I can check out some of the cool stuff that is still locked to the platform.
£50, that sounds like a bargain.
So like Halo 5 is not on PC. It's a lot of the games that's like before Microsoft really merged their console and PC.
I thought Halo 5 was part of the Master Chief Collection, or was it not?
No, it's that is what Halo 1 through 3 and Reach. I don't think 4 is, or maybe 4 is, but 5 isn't. And then Halo Infinite launched on PC. So Halo 5 is in that weird middle ground. Honestly, it's not one of the best in the series, but it's cool to check out at least. There's a few early Xbox One exclusives, like Crimson Dragon, that I was checking out as well. One of the coolest things, actually, is that when you purchase original Xbox and 360 games, the resolution is scaled up on them. So I was checking out Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate on an Xbox emulator, and there were some graphical glitches and some slowdown. And then I picked it up for like $6, so like £4 or something like that on a sale on my Xbox One, and it launched at 1080p. And the emulator that's built in to the Xbox that Microsoft develops is better than the fan emulators. So they've offered a really compelling product. And I immediately bought a bunch of original Xbox games just to see what they look like at high resolution.
Like original Xbox?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're flying through these VR games. There was just going back to there was some sort of zombie shooting game that actually had, it was like the second part. I guess I didn't know about the first one. I think another thing for me with VR is that I don't feel and Dreams. I don't feel just for people who don't know, Dreams is
they're pretty close to us.
Yeah, like they have our former creative director went to Dreams. Anyway, for me also, I don't feel like anyone has solved movement in VR yet well enough. It's always a bit of a pain to move, or kind of a clunky control thing, or just on rails, which is not great.
I think VR is cool as a designer, because if you say, I'm going to make a first-person shooter, the most generic one I can think of, it has to fundamentally be a different experience because it's in VR. That shooter we were just looking at is not the same kind of gameplay that you get with a keyboard and a mouse.
Yeah, it can be, but then yeah, maybe sometimes you can end up in a situation where you can't win and there's no way out.
What do you mean?
You know, for example, I guess I don't have enough gaming experience with VR specifically, but just thinking about past products in a similar vein, like Kinect, for example, I feel like a lot of developers kind of took on that challenge and really didn't have a way to deliver anything, like even from software. If we think about it, like a lot of developers just thought they could handle Kinect and make something that's worth playing, but it just didn't happen, didn't materialize. And I think
the Kinect, on a hardware level, you were waving your arms around and you had no tactile feedback for what you were doing, whereas like the Wiimote, you're holding a physical device, so you had something in your hands that you could feel. I think the Kinect is like a terrible example, I think, because I think the hardware was fundamentally flawed.
Well, with VR, it's still like, how are you moving? If you're pressing forward on a D-pad, that already kind of creates this disconnect and sometimes even physical discomfort for you. So I don't know. I don't know if actually it's a production, if you can buy something like that, but you know, those kind of like platforms where you stand on and then have this kind of belt around you thing where you can actually walk around.
Yeah.
Maybe with something like that.
Maybe. I guess I see what you mean, where it's a little weird that the games track your head movements really fluidly, but then you still have this controller in your hands that is like totally abstracted from actions that you do in the game when your head movements are so one-to-one, so easily tracked. It definitely lends itself well to a specific kinds of games, like everything being first person, being able to look in really close at the world in close detail is an obvious fit for VR. Maybe not so much other things. What the heck? Marathon is back?
Wait, Bungie? What is this?
Marathon. That was Bungie's franchise before Halo, like back in the 90s on the Mac.
Huh. So that's a VR thing now.
Yeah, that's cool to see them do something other than Destiny. People have been asking for Marathon for, I think ever since Halo 3, right? When that wrapped up, people were like, oh, it's more Marathon.
Speaking of Destiny?
Marathon's pretty cool.
Vanquish nightmares. Fought alongside those who we once fought against. I wish you could have been there.
Yeah, me too, kiddo. But hey, I'm here now. Wherever the hell here is.
So is this going to be the final expansion then? Surely Destiny is still pretty popular for them to continue.
15 seconds. 10 seconds.
I wonder if they're going to end this show with a wild card. Maybe this is the end of the show. We're nearing the end.
I don't think they can top Dragon's Dogma for me. Actually, I think we are out of VR section.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we left that a while ago. One last one? A movie trailer.
Oh, they wouldn't, right? Yep, they will. Oh, man.
Classic Sony. I don't know if you remember back on the internet around like 2007, people were joking that, you know, Nintendo has Mario, Microsoft has Master Chief, and Sony has Ricky Bobby from Talladega Nights, because Sony was marketing the Blu-ray so hard, and I think even in North America they had a bundle where instead of like bundling your PS3 console with a game, they bundled it with the Talladega Nights Blu-ray.
Yeah,
it was just pathetic.
I mean, some years ago when Microsoft went hard on like the whole, you know, console as an entertainment system with TV stuff, everyone just kind of came together. Friends became enemies became friends. You know, everyone banded together against that, and you know, it worked. That kind of went away. It went away in that form. It came back nowadays in a bit of a different form, a bit more sneaky way. But at least you don't get this front and center anymore. I mean, I'll give them this. Gran Turismo the movie, fine, makes sense, I guess.
I have a few announcements to share. At PlayStation, innovation is our passion, and that applies to not just what games you play, but how you play them. Later this year, we will launch a dedicated device that enables you to stream any game from your PS5 console.
Oh yeah, it's just their cloud stuff they've been teasing.
Known as Project Q, it has an 8-inch HD screen and all of the buttons and features of the DualSense wireless controller.
Interesting. So it's a streaming device.
We look forward to sharing more information in the near future. I'm also pleased to reveal our first ever PlayStation earbud.
So, can I stream this to my other screens?
PS5 and PC.
Probably not. Probably not. I'm assuming you need to buy this thing and it will only stream PS5 games to your console, and you won't be able to stream PS5 games to anything else.
Today's showcase demonstrates our continued commitment to delivering experiences that surprise and delight our players. I want to thank all of you for your unwavering support for PlayStation.
There we go. One last thing. I don't think we saw anything from my expectations list as I thought we were going to see.
I'm actually surprised we didn't see anything from Final Fantasy VII.
That's supposed to come out this year, or within this fiscal year, so...
A fate you...
I've been in your shadow for hours, but you sense nothing. Pathetic. I asked for an equal, and this is what you find.
Sir, perhaps a new hunting ground.
Oh, it's a Marvel thing. Okay.
Oh man, is this what they left?
Spider-Man 2 or something.
Of all the games they had shown today, this is the one they left for the finale. Man, they should have left pretty much anything else.
Dragon's Dogma 2. Yeah. Yeah, Sony loves its. I mean, these have become the quintessential Sony game, starting with the PS4 generation. Right, a Marvel game or a Horizon Zero Dawn or a Last of Us.
You mean that Avengers game, or what it was that was so disappointing that they like kept apologizing for it? You know, the one from Square Enix. Who was it?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's one bad example. But by and large, these games, sell like gangbusters and review really well. Everybody.
This right now looks like a PS4 game. I'm sorry. I'm a Marvel fan. I don't even recognize who these people are. Okay, that's Spider-Man, but
Leave Connors alone.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed the most of the Batman Arkham games, but for whatever reason, these games just never grabbed me, never interested me.
Wow, Spider-Man has evolved. Since when is he and Venom combined? I guess I'm kind of behind the latest storyline.
Well, this is the black suit stuff, right? This is when he first gets the symbiote, and he's got the black suit, and he's like, "Sweet, I got all this power," and then he kind of turns into a jerk, and splits out, and then the thing he pulls out of him becomes Venom.
Triangulating position. Target located at Harlem Fish Market. All teams converge.
Lizards across the river. I'm not gonna make it in time.
Miles, the hunter's track.
I think I'm definitely feeling the shift in terms of like, back in the day, the last game would be something they knew fans would be hyped or didn't expect. But I think this year, this is definitely like, we need to make sure the last game is the one we want to push the hardest, because it's our, it's our own IP kind of thing we want to sell a lot. Honestly, like, why wouldn't they put Metal Gear Solid 3 here, or Dragon's Dogma? Like, those were the surprises you would get fans clapping if this was a live show. Everyone knows the Spider-Man is coming, right? I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, because this is the next biggest first-party PlayStation release, and they want to promote that really, really hard because it has to sell about 10 million copies to break even.
Is it just me, or does this game look not amazing? I just, there's something about the visuals here that doesn't. I feel like the previous game looked better than this. I don't know. Maybe it's just an early video. I mean, the gameplay looks cool, like the what he does, and the fight with the Venom suit looked cool, and all of these tools he has.
I should enjoy these games. I should be really excited. I'm not sure why they didn't grab me. They don't do anything that I don't like. It might just be that I'm totally burned out on Marvel these days. As a kid, I liked Marvel, but there was just, there's just too much of it, I think, and I'm too contrarian.
The best part for me from the old Spider-Man games was definitely swinging through buildings with spiderweb, and I feel like with the newer games they made it a bit too cinematic for me. I actually want it to be a lot more physics based and maybe slightly clunky, but still enjoyable. But now it's a lot more like you have this assistance, almost like they want to make sure it's very cinematic, and I think it's not something I would enjoy experiencing like that.
It's funny that as designers we imagine a game that is, you're Spider-Man, so it's a big open city and you can swing around, and it would have really deep swinging mechanics that are physics driven or something like that. Maybe the whole world is physics driven, and you have all these, this set of tools of Spider-Man that are really unique that you can play around with. But then the kind of stuff that gets made is like, oh, can we automate that swinging with, holding down the X button or something, so that everybody can have a blast just traversing around the city and watching Spider-Man's cool animations.
Well, that's the point, right? Are they gonna have a blast with that? Because at that point you're essentially saying we're giving up on trying to make it work, and then we are just making this as some sort of almost half cinematic feature.
That's it. It's more about the spectacle than about like really mechanically taking advantage of being Spider-Man. And this, I don't want to pick on Spider-Man here. There's all kinds of games that handle it this way, where it seems like they take the concept and then they somehow do the least interesting version of that concept.
I guess this is the multiverse type of Spider-Man thing where there's more than one of them.
Yeah, they're going to tie it in with whatever the movies are doing at the time, because it's all marketing for the movies at the end of the day.
Well, I'm caught up on the movies, and in the movie there is multiverse stuff in the latest one, but they don't really last.
Yeah,
they don't stay behind and chill with him. And none of them are actually Venom either.
Well, yeah, I did see the Spider-Verse movie, and I am going to see the next one because that is the one superhero movie that I've really enjoyed.
Well, here you go. This is the more of a swinging kind of gameplay moment here, and like this is literally like a Uncharted 4 situation, but with spiders, like with a web swinging.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's not not at all what I want. What I want is I want to swing, and I want to be forced to make that jump or land that jump, right? I want to be forced to make that spider shot accurately. Because right now,
I think that would, yeah, that would make a lot of sense if it was a Spider-Man origin story. Peter Parker isn't very familiar with his web swinging yet, and then you make a game that's really like maybe you have really finite control over the swinging with the analog sticks or something, where you do it manually.
I think swinging from a rope has been kind of figured out by a lot of developers, indies for sure, and I feel like that's actually maybe something that shouldn't have left a simple concept that indies use of swinging from, you know, like shooting a point to like a ceiling and then swinging from there, from left to right. That concept, I don't feel like it ever needed to be more than that.
Do you know that game Roller Drome? The one where it's an arena shooter except you're on roller skates. So it's kind of like Tony Hawk style gameplay mixed with a third-person shooter. So you're doing tricks on half pipes and things like that, and doing tricks reloads your gun. And I think maybe somebody needs to make a Spider-Man game that is something like that, but with web swinging.
Yeah, that would be nice. Or like a 2D, 3D, you know, like side-scrolling 3D Spider-Man. Just do that. That would be nice.
Yeah, yeah. I think the thing that ticks me off a bit about Sony these days is they've shown a lot of games today, most of which are coming on other platforms, because Sony's business strategy is that they release about 3 or 4 exclusive quadruple A games a year, games like these. And the idea is that the Spider-Man game is so high budget and so cool or whatever that it's going to be everyone's jam. And everybody's going to buy one, and it's going to totally justify their PS4 purchase. But if you're like me and you weren't into this game and you weren't into Horizon Forbidden West, then there hasn't been like a PlayStation 5 exclusive for a while that has interested you in any way. And it's kind of like the Sony stance on that is like, too bad. Basically, you have to be into their really specific style of games these days if you want to care about anything that they're doing.
Oh, I mean, that's a bigger conversation. I think the whole thing of exclusives is already like pretty much dying. There's holdouts like Final Fantasy 16, but it's shrinking by the year, I think. And I think very soon, the question of whether or not you should buy a console based on exclusive is not going to be even a question of that. It will be a question of, well, do I want a console or not? And it will be, you can choose any of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Microsoft is already looking that way because for them, they're selling Game Pass. They're not interested in really selling Xboxes these days. But if you think about Nintendo, I mean, even if I'm not a fan of Pokemon or Pikmin, I might be a fan of Mario and Zelda and Smash Bros. And Metroid and a bunch of other games that they put out that are, you know, Fire Emblem if you're more of a hardcore gamer who likes that kind of stuff. They put a little something for everyone, and there's enough Nintendo releases every year where you have a lot to look forward to, no matter who you are. But Sony is basically saying, we're going to make a very specific kind of game, and you have to be into that. And otherwise, third parties are what you're here for. Although, in my case, I already have a PC, so there isn't much that Sony puts out that makes me interested in owning a PS5.
Well, there you go, Spider-Man 2.
Okay, rate the show, Serge. Rate it out of 10.
It's time.
I like that we saw some indies. I like that we saw Dragon's Dogma 2.
Yeah.
MGS3, that's a cool surprise. Should be interesting.
Yeah, for me, it was definitely Metal Gear Solid, obviously Final Fantasy 16, Dragon's Dogma. That Indie Night game with the art style that changes, that was cool. Some of the stuff that looked cool, I don't know about the gameplay, so, you know, it is what it is. Assassin's Creed, actually.
Oh, Alan Wake 2, yeah. Oh, that game. Yeah, whatever that Journey-esque game. Okay, yeah, there's some cool stuff. Yeah, that samurai game. Samurai game looked kind of cool. Yeah, not bad. They should have some decent stuff.
Sweet liberty! Blah, 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 blah.
There we go.
Cool. Actually, they had more games that I care about than I thought I would have, actually. I'm happy about that.
That's all I can ask for these days is not to walk away from one of these completely disappointed.
Yeah, it's funny how this changed over the years, and now it's so heavily based on trailers that you could even say, do we even need a showcase event where all you can literally just put a blog post saying, hey, we have a YouTube playlist for you, it has all the trailers that you want, go and watch it. Because, you know, it's fair enough. I think that's where this was going all this time, but at the same time I kind of miss the showmanship of the past events in E3. Some of them were cringy, some of them were just plain bad, but some of them were so cool. Some of them had like musical performances. I remember when they announced Dragon Age Inquisition and they had a theme being played on a violin with an orchestra. You know, the musicians came out, they had a trailer running, it was a musical show. Was cool. I think that had real value, and it's sad that it's lost. And it's not like Sony or any of them are replacing that kind of stuff with their own things. Not really. They just have a pre-recorded message from the CEO and then a bunch of trailers. Even though we're out of COVID, so this could have been an event where people could attend maybe. You could have had hosts. You could have had conversations with developers. You know, back in the day, developers would introduce their product, their games. Maybe talk about a bit about them. Maybe have a chance to actually say what kind of game this is. You remember that, right? Like that is probably the biggest thing that's missing. It's you have these trailers, but you know anything about them. And back in the day, you would have the developer just talking about the project, like what they want to do with this game and what to look forward to.
I can see what you're getting at. Yeah, I suppose that's what Gamescom and the Game Awards are still for.
Fair enough, but this is first party, right? This should be the big one.
Yeah, I know that sometimes Sony does these PlayStation blog posts where the developers talk about the games.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I get what you mean though. It is a bit of a weird format, and maybe we'll look back on this as a transitionary thing between traditional events and then just uploading that entire event onto a YouTube video is where we're at now. And then maybe we'll move to, I'm sure game marketing will continue to evolve, and we'll present these games or announce them in some other format in the future, whatever that is. I mean, Nintendo kind of invented this direct concept, so I wouldn't be surprised if they just changed it completely, and then 2 or 3 years later, everyone catches up to them.
Yeah. Well, there you go. This was Showcase. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll return with our first game, which will be Deadly Premonition. Welcome back, everyone. Right, so just a quick disclaimer before we start. This is our second full attempt at recording this. This game is, Ian, this game is cursed. I should have had a premonition about this, and knew this would be coming because we end up recording the entire hour, and then
my hard drive died. Not died, but my hard drive is giving me guff.
All right, I didn't want to point out who he was, but he did it anyway.
Yeah, no, it's me, or rather my computer. So yeah, we lost my recording. So what, Serge? You played the first hour, and I think we just decided to press on because the story, the first hour is pretty simple setup of this murder mystery. You're this FBI agent that's come to this town.
Yes, I think so.
To investigate this murder. So
a game by Square 65, by the way, just to kind of introduce this a bit. He's probably most famous for this game. Did some other stuff, but this is probably the most famous one. Very divisive game. People either hate it or love it. Ian loves this game. I'm still on the fence. After playing the first hour initially, I have some concerns. My biggest one was the main character, the way he is, the way he talks to his imaginary friend. I'm still deciding if I would be okay with that for like a long game like this. But yeah, we decided to kind of skip the first hour this time around. It does take a while for it to get going, and it kind of essentially spends that entire hour to get there.
Yeah, I mean, you can talk about the core mechanics and everything that you were introduced to last time, at least mechanically, when we started this bit. So
Yeah, it's a slower paced game. It's third person action game, I guess, the detective style where you do shoot. You have you have guns, you have melee weapons.
Well, why don't you get in, and then once you play some bits, you can sort of recap how you felt about the combat or things like that.
Okay, let's do that. Actually, this will have a recap for us, so let's jump in. Oh, sorry. No, let's not do that. Let's load the game. All right, resume. So this is straight
You
after
played exactly 1 hour. Yeah.
These puppies are making me go to another town in the boondocks again.
I didn't think you'd keep me waiting in the rain for so long.
Welcome to Greenwood. I'm the sheriff, George Woodman. Call me George.
There's definitely something in this town. Do you feel it, Zach? My coffee warned me about it.
Yeah, a lot of nods to Twin Peaks. First of all, I think most people know this about this game, that there's a lot of inspiration from that show. Whether or not it lands it or not, you would have to probably play the full game to decide on that. For me, for now, there's only kind of visual and certain small nods to the show. I would again have to play the full game to actually say if it's how it did in terms of that. And one thing I'm realizing about this game now is that this is very much a game where it's from a setting, in an American setting, from a Japanese developer, and it really shows sometimes how they perceive the Western settings and stuff like that. Sometimes it's a bit awkward, I think.
What, is there anything that sticks out to you in particular?
I think just the way people speak and behave. This is an older game, so you could say there's a bit of that. It's a bit of its time, but also I think when you have a Japanese developers, even nowadays, they're very homogenous. You would see development studios that just are full of only Japanese, which is not something you have in the West. Our studio is very multicultural. So when you have people that are only Japanese in the studio, and then they have to make this a very American setting, I think you end up with something like this here. I mean, nowadays it doesn't have to mean that you can't do a setting properly. Ghost of Tsushima, for example, is done by a Western developer, and apparently it's a pretty faithful setting of Japan.
I have a bit of a soft spot for especially Japanese horror games that have this kind of slightly twisted and slightly off perception of what America is like.
Yeah.
But I think, especially in horror games, that there is something there. There's something that adds to the overall experience, but things being just a little off, like they didn't quite understand how to model a police department or a school or something like that.
So we're in the menu here. Again, we have a knife, pistol. There are other melee weapons you can use. I mean, items you have here as well. You probably use them. There's like some healing items, lollipop, other stuff, coffee, of course.
Oh yeah, you collected some lollipops and some jars of pickles and things like that to keep your stats up, because this game has larger hunger and sleep meters that sort of fit in with this larger open world stuff. Right now the clock is ticking and you have to go to the sheriff's office while it's open.
Oh, okay.
The NPC, I mean, it's not a strict time limit or anything, but you can see it's 10 a.m. right now. And the NPCs have routes, they have paths that they go through throughout the day, things like that.
Right, yes. This does have that. There's definitely kind of, historically talk around this game, whether or not it needed an open world or not. Some people say it did. Some people say it was unnecessary. But it does have that. And actually, why don't you kind of give an intro on just the basics of the story? Why is he here, and what happened in this town?
So there are these red seeds, which the game is called Red Seeds in Japan.
Red Seeds profile. Yeah.
Is it Red Seeds? Yeah, it might be Red Seeds profile. But anyway, our agent here, Francis York Morgan, He's a big town FBI agent who's come to this small American town in presumably Washington State to investigate a series of, or is it a series of murders, or is it just one murder so far?
Well, to be honest, it's actually from perspective of someone who hasn't played this game yet. It wasn't entirely clear. You can watch that intro cinematic on the main menu. If you don't do anything, it plays and it shows one woman being,
tied to the tree,
tied to the tree like a Jesus style. So I assume that's the one that was killed. It's still unclear who she is or who she is to anyone.
Yeah.
Francis actually met the police officers that are responsible.
Wrong side of the road, Serge.
Oh,
bloody Brit.
Right. Yeah. No, wait, this way.
Yeah. What do you feel with these car controls?
They are horrible, horrendous. They are. Oh my god! The car.
You play tested some long hours in GTA, so.
Right. Yes.
I'm sure you've got a good feel for what car controls.
No. Yeah. This. Okay.
Like...
Check this out. This is me pressing just the drive button, and this car is going left. Anyway, yes, what Ian is referring to is my time in Rockstar. I was working in QA there for some years, and let me tell you, if I had to test this game, this would be I would call it would be like a B-class bug. Wow, this is actually I'm maybe there's something with my controller or something. Okay, I think I can handle it. Is
something's going with your speedometer? It's been jumping around.
Yeah. Okay, so how do I reverse? Oops, that's... Man, having X as get out of the car button.
And it's such a long animation, too.
Yeah.
That you're frozen in.
Oh my god. All right, we can deal with this. He is someone who doesn't know how to drive cars properly. He busted one already. In the intro, he had his own car. He just drove it off the road. And
you notice that that it's open world, but you can't. As soon as you try to leave the paved road, everything is a hill. You're surrounded by hills constantly, so you can't really go off of these paved roads. It's not like in GTA where you could drive up a hill or drive, freely around. But yeah, in the intro, this murder links up with this red seed case that York has been following for some time. And Serge had to run away from a bunch of weird J-horror looking townsfolk, these kind of zombie people. And you had to run away from a guy in a raincoat who had an axe.
Yeah. I think we established back then that they were a bit probably like some sort of figment of his imagination rather than actual zombies you'll be fighting. This game is, once again, inspiration from Twin Peaks. Probably a lot of like symbolic imagery, a lot of like people imagining things or things happening in their heads. By the way, am I going the right way? I just need to make sure that... Okay.
Yeah. Since one of my favorite parts of the game is just York talking to himself, essentially, because I think you'd already heard this one. But yeah, York has this voice in his head, Zach, that he speaks to all the time, and it's essentially Zach or York talking straight to the player. And in some ways, it feels like the director-writer Swery having a conversation with the player about things that he's passionate about. Like in this case, you can tell he's a big fan of old B horror movies. He's a big fan of British punk rock and things like that. And as you cruise around, you can listen to optional conversations of Swery basically regaling you with stuff that fascinates him.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Swery, 65, a Buddhist monk.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned before, for me it was a bit, just the frequency was a bit much. It's quite noticeable in the beginning of the game where he just constantly talks to Zach like non-stop, like you can't have a quiet moment.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's a big mystery behind that. I'm sure there's some reveals who Zach is, if it's anyone, if he's Zach or whatever. But for now, it's quite unclear what's happening with that.
Pleasure to meet you, Agent Morgan. We've been expecting. I'm Thomas McLean, the sheriff's assistant.
All right.
FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan. Please just call me York. It's what everyone else calls me.
Very well then, Agent York.
I believe I owe you a thank you for retrieving my belongings from my car. Thanks.
Oh, no, just doing my job.
See, in this cup is the example I was talking about when Japanese are making Western setting and maybe injecting some of the...
She was such a bright and lovely girl.
Did you know her well?
Well, no, not really. But it's a very small town.
And as well, oftentimes it won't be, or at least was the case, there wasn't always great direction with the voice acting, the English voice acting. Because the people giving the direction weren't always native English speakers.
Yes, of course. The sheriff told me to let you through to the meeting room.
Not necessarily a statement on Deadly Premonition, but it's some of those old chunky games that I like.
Okay, let me know when things are ready. Zach, Thomas appears to be the kind and sensitive type, totally at odds with the Monarch. Almost a good setting for...
The Monarch? What does he mean by that?
That's George, Sheriff George.
Oh, right.
Who York already doesn't get along with, right? Because this guy's from the big city and George just wants this to be a local operation. So he's kind of pushing York out.
The burly cop man.
Did you fix the other police officer's outfit, the deals her mod skin that you downloaded?
Oh, I know. I haven't changed anything, so I think she's actually still gonna use that.
Serge rather ashamedly set one of the characters' outfits to be some kind of dominatrix thing, I think.
No, she was a bunny girl.
Oh, okay.
Or a cat girl. Oh wow, that's quite... Oh, there she is. Hello.
Hi.
Oh, this text sounds so retro. All right, she doesn't want to chill. So we saw last time in the lost recording that York, the main character, can piece together some clues into kind of, like he can piece evidence together into, I guess, deductions and kind of investigation related things. Is that something you can actively do throughout the gameplay, or is it just more like story related, like it happens as the story continues?
Yeah, story events. When you go to not crime scenes, but these sort of areas, you'll get that icon, the UI at the bottom left, the screen, the 3 lock icons, which says that there are 3 pieces of information that you need to find in this area, and then York will perform some detective work and piece together what's going on. So if you haven't noticed, there's all kinds of optional things you can do in this game to just sort of breathe in this world. You could have driven around for days in-game cycles, talking to NPCs and purchasing things and stuff. It doesn't really amount to a ton, mostly because the gameplay systems don't have a huge impact on this stuff. This isn't exactly the kind of game where, if this game had an RPG equipment system, then you might want to go out and do optional stuff to get better gear to take on greater challenges, but this isn't that kind of game. So a lot of it is you would just only explore if you're the kind of player who likes to explore for exploration's sake. You're not going to find a ton of mechanical reward. Or even if there is, this game's pretty easy. You can just sort of beeline every objective and take down every enemy and boss without too much trouble. So
yeah, something that's actually still we as developers struggle with nowadays, even how to make, you know, the open world, how to pace it, how to make sure players have things to do in it. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I guess this game, some of the fans of this game or people that played it were suggesting that maybe it didn't need the open world. Like, as someone who finished this game, Ian, I think I asked you before, and you said you think it's fine that it has it. Is that correct? Or do you think it would have been much more of a? Do you think it would have had a better flow if it wasn't an open world?
Well, I don't think the exploration stuff really gave me much enjoyment, but I do like that there was space to breathe in the world. I think the thing I would miss the most if you cut out the open world was just the bits where you could relax and listen to conversations from York. But there are all kinds of other ways that could be implemented.
Yeah.
Maybe, you could have a linear game and you could have benches where York could sit down and have a conversation, and you don't need to be doing anything. You don't need to be driving around a large space. I suspect that's the kind of thing that the publisher may have wanted to add. I know that's not a great defense for the game. Supposedly, this game didn't have combat until very late in development, and then something like a year before release, the developers were told by the publisher that they had to add content or combat. So I don't know who knows what else in here was added because it was the expectation and not was necessarily the best for the game. Because this is a very low budget game. When this came out, this would have been a $20, $30 title in a bargain bin, and I don't think anyone had any expectations of this. And the developers kind of lean into that. York's behavior is bizarre, and other people in the world acknowledge that it's bizarre. And
do they?
Yeah, I think already, because he was having a conversation with Zach earlier on, and George and Emily thought it was kind of strange. They didn't confront him about it, but they thought it was weird. So your enjoyment of this game is going to hinge a lot on how you connect with that kind of writing, how you find that kind of writing.
You found the key.
Is this the one you were looking for?
No. This is a gray squirrel. Sorry, that's not the key. Nothing particularly special about the gray squirrel, I'm afraid. You can find them in the US, Canada, and in England, too.
A gray squirrel. What was I thinking?
See, Swery, growing up, he visited Canada many times, and he's a big fan of Canada, and he wanted to set this game in Canada, but the publisher told the team to set it in America because that will sell more copies. So he claims that this setting was chosen as one of the most Canadian settings in an American game, which should be in Washington State, right by the Canadian border. I don't know if that's him covering for why the game looks so much like Twin Peaks, but I suppose it makes sense.
I can push this. Okay. Oh man.
Yeah, why not?
All right. No, I can't move this. I literally cannot move this. Am I breaking this?
I don't think you're breaking it.
Oh god.
I suspect this is an interactable crate that doesn't need to be interacted with.
Probably. Well, I thought I found the key that I needed, but I guess not. So I still need to find the key. And now I'm in jail. I appreciate that you can explore these interior spaces quite a bit. I mean, you could say that these probably should be closed. I can sleep in jail. Nice. Probably shouldn't. Okay, I don't think I'm gonna find my key here. Oddly, the objective points towards the sensitive man, but I actually need to find a key for him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's get out of here. There was some sort of puzzle thing there, but I wonder if it's just there. There's this thing here, so each time I press a button here, it rolls out this cabinet thing and then rolls back in. Huh? I mean, the key. Do we need to like quickly do all three of them? Oh, nope.
For the sake of brevity, I'll clue you in that the key you need is downstairs in the jail area.
Oh, is it? All right.
Yeah, it's a little. So you did do some puzzles earlier on that were just really basic. Find the fuse for the fuse box to open the gate. I'm not a huge fan of these red herring puzzles, but
yeah.
I do think it's kind of funny that this strange eccentric police officer gets to tell you facts about squirrels for everyone that you find that is wrong.
Okay. So this Thomas here right now should have told me the following. Hey, I lost my key. Last time I remember having it was in the jail area. That's all. That's all he needed to say to me, to point me to the general direction. Like,
I guess they want to keep it vague because they want you to explore this police station, probably just to understand that this game has big interiors that you can play in.
Oh, that's probably exactly what they wanted, but it's probably honestly, it's the wrong way of going about doing that.
Maybe a little too vague.
You know, it's like I'll explore it if I want to anyway, right? You don't need to encourage me by vagueness. If the space is interesting enough, I'll explore it.
Yeah, maybe for the first, because it's the first area, they want you to at least have to explore a tiny bit, and then I can't remember if later on if the game always makes you explore. I don't think it really does.
Well, I'm sure this is not the only kind of puzzly thing I'll have to be doing in this game, finding something or.
Yeah, but it's usually pretty linear, pretty simple.
All right, Thomas, so got your key. Wait, so can I get back the key that I gave him? Maybe that opens something else.
No, it doesn't.
Ah, okay.
You found the key. I hope this is the right one.
You found a Siberian chipmunk this time, have you?
Oh, what? Are you for real, Thomas?
What?
Chipmunk? This species lives in northern Japan on the island of Hokkaido. They're actually quite a popular pet.
Oh my god. Okay.
But we're looking for a southern flying squirrel right now.
Okay, I'm gonna
Maybe it's in the basement, or it could be that it's a randomized.
Okay,
thing.
let me just check the basement again. Maybe there's another key there. Luckily, they have this pretty obvious glow. So if there's another key there, I'll see it. Okay. Okay, no more keys here. Can I practice my shooting?
Was it the D-pad to take out weapons?
All right, yeah, I keep forgetting that. There you go. Oh, yes, I can. Oh, man. This is not Great.
It's not projecting any decals any bullet decals onto the target, so you don't actually see where your shots are landing.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna rely on the snap aiming. Okay, if someone doesn't give me a key, I'm gonna stab them with the knife. Sir, can I have a key? Okay. It's not gonna be in the jail cells, right? That would be kind of crazy.
You go in and check it out anyway.
It is there. Oh my god. Why would you leave a key there?
These cheesy floating metals.
Okay, this is curvy tail flying. I don't think that's the key, Ian. I don't think that's the key we need. You know what? I'm actually glad we're doing this right now, because I feel like this is a sort of decent example of this game's quirkiness that kind of extends to the actual game design as well. What do you think? Like, do you think that they kind of realized that this is a bit of a faff, but they still made it like that to like kind of reinforce the game's quirkiness? Would you do you see them doing it like that?
I will say that what we touched on last time is that the elements of Deadly Premonition that stand out, that people enjoy, are in some ways enhanced by the unpolished nature of the game. The fact that that York is so weird, it almost seems like something that isn't intentional. I think it's definitely intentional, especially when you look at Swery's oeuvre. But it is kind of the effects are sort of highlighted by the crummy graphics and the painful gameplay. And yeah, things like this that just seem to fly in the face of like smart design, but they just kind of highlight the, as you say, quirkiness of the whole thing.
Yeah, but I think, the quirkiness of the character and quirkiness of these things you do are a bit like, I feel like they definitely need to be looked at separately. The quirkiness of the character is definitely something Swery like was I want to do it like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just wondering if the design stuff was intentional or kind of.
Probably, yeah, probably not. But I think regardless of whether it is or not, in some ways it doesn't matter, because the game is what it is, and if it has the right effect on you, then that's the important stuff. There's a lot of things in games that come from technical restraints or things that weren't intended, but they still do what they do. And this is kind of why when they announced a sequel, which fair warning, I haven't played, so I can't comment on. A lot of people felt like, how do you even make a sequel to Deadly Premonition? How do you follow up on something like this? Can you repeat this? Do these jokes work a second time? Can you intentionally make something crummy again a second time?
Well, I mean, part of the answer, if the question is what do you do with the second game, is probably like a different case, right? That's easy enough. It's York again investigating something new. I mean, I don't know what happens to him in this game, but if he's still around, then.
City folk, huh? No, I take that back. All of them can't be as bad as him, and some should have better manners.
Huh.
Is a good biscuit. I've never tasted a biscuit this delicious. Where in town can I get these?
That's a scone, mate.
Actually, I baked them myself.
That's amazing. What are you doing in law enforcement? I'm very particular about biscuits, I'll have you know. The balance of milk and butter you've achieved here. Oh my.
Agent Morgan, the autopsy's ready. You are welcome to accompany me to the Greenvale General Hospital. Emily, you come too. Thomas, stay here and tidy up these files.
Yes, sir.
We're going to use the car outside. Let's get going. You might think this is just a small-town police investigation, but our inspections are thorough and solid.
This guy is always so aggro. He's like, I'm ready to fight you. And York just sitting there eating scone. It's so weird that they divide this in like missions essentially with a score screen.
When it's open worlds.
Well, yeah, and also when it's like you just showed up and found a key and that's about it. So what are they scoring here? Clear time. Is that 1 hour 15 minutes? That doesn't sound right.
That's the whole game so far.
Oh, right. Total number of days. Okay, enemies defeated. Okay, so it's just overall thing. Total number of continues. Okay.
You haven't died yet.
Basic wage, unpaid salary. That's a weird sentence right there. What? Okay.
I can see why it might be a little weird if you had this David Lynch kind of dialogue. The gameplay was really polished combat, a really polished gameplay.
I mean, I don't think it would take it away from the weirdness.
And we're back, everyone.
Right. Yes.
So just getting crashed. Just another part of the Deadly Premonition experience. Bad controls, bad frame rate, bad crash.
But with the power of editing, you will not see it.
If I'm riding in a car, George, I prefer to be the driver. Can you provide a car for me?
What are you talking about? You don't even know how to get there.
Which is another good reason for me to drive, George. I need to learn my way around town.
I love what a jerk he is.
Very well. Then I'll ride with you. I want to keep an eye on you.
Fair enough.
Just one thing, Agent Morgan. Your involvement in this case is limited. That means you don't have to learn your way around town.
What a weird thing to say.
George, we better get moving. The hospital closes at 2100.
Better get moving. We've only got 11 hours until this hospital closes.
Yes. Oh, wait. Am I wearing a thing suddenly? Or was I wearing this before?
No, it's because of the dynamic... Was it dynamic weather system? No, it's not. It's because the killer, that raincoat killer, he's part of urban myth. And he only appears when it rains. Someone dies.
Okay. Right. Wait, but I'm not wearing actually the thing in this. Oh, man.
Yeah, they just take it off you, I guess.
I guess.
Get us there quickly, but drive within the speed limit. Just because you have a badge doesn't mean you can drive like a maniac.
George, what are you, his mother?
We just need to get the autopsy.
Actually, a police officer and I guess FBI can go over speed limit if they need to.
They do things a little differently around here, son.
Let's get going.
Sure, sounds good.
Okay. So does this game have any sort of side quests? You mentioned that there's not much to do in town in general, but like, is there actually nothing to pursue or solve, or like any kind of problems characters need solving or anything like that?
There are side quests. They'll get you things like, well, I didn't do a ton of the side quests, but I seem to remember the side quest would get you things like these collectible trading cards that have NPCs faces on them and things like that.
I think they were here somewhere. Trading card, this one. So can you do something with them? Is there like a mini game? Can you play cards with somebody?
No.
All right. So you just collect them.
Yeah. Why not?
All right. Okay. How? I think this place is far. Oh, wait.
I hate that you cannot zoom out the map.
Yeah, man, it's the furthest away that it can possibly be. All right.
Talk to him.
Agent Morgan, I can't help noticing you prefer to work alone.
Most of the time, yes.
Don't you get lonely flying all over the country alone?
I must say I've never felt lonely.
Are you married?
Unfortunately, relationships and I are fleeting strangers. I don't get on very well with women, you might be surprised to hear.
That's because you're young. You notice things like that at my age. You have to treat women carefully, like a thin crystal wine glass. If you don't, they can cut scars on your face, just like yours, right?
George, is this an interrogation? I see you're a seasoned professional. But let's not talk about my scar. It was caused by a problematic woman.
Well, she got you good. Terribly good.
It'll fade away, and nobody will notice it in a week.
A week? It's not that light of a wound.
That was an insane conversation right there.
Emily.
Also, I'm lost.
For a full-time sheriff in a small town like this?
Take that map out.
Oops. Wrong button.
Finish our chat later. Let's take a walk around.
Oh no.
Let's take a walk in the rain.
If you're wandering off, then we'll go on ahead. We don't have time to mess around.
Okay.
Agent York, the hospital closes at 2100. Please make it inside before then.
Oh no.
Oh no. Where'd you go? Just wanted to.
They teleported to the hospital.
Well, that's messed up. Like,
one button and it's over.
how do I get back? Oh.
Yeah, look at that. No, you know what? You might be able to drive through that dirt road to get on that bigger road.
Can I?
Yeah, you can crash through that. It doesn't look like it, but you can crash through that wood
Oh, okay. Let's try that then.
behind you. Yeah. No, yeah, you gotta turn around.
Oh, right. Oh god. Man, that really sucked that they just leave like
Yeah.
Essentially you're missing all the conversations you could have had with them. Oh well. This doesn't feel right, Ian.
Just see where it spits you out.
This doesn't look right. This looks unfinished. What is this?
You like the single texture that they
Yeah.
completely empty field.
We shouldn't be.
No, it's good.
We shouldn't be.
Someone said, "Yeah, that's good. That's good enough. We got 9 months of texture this entire game."
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
My opinion on game criticism is that I hate phrases like lazy devs because nobody is lazy in game development.
Yeah.
It's okay to criticize. It's okay to criticize the end product as long as you make it clear that it wasn't due to laziness, because it really never is.
Lazy.
You can say this game looks ugly and stuff. That's okay. I mean, the people were trying the best they could with the resources they had.
Yeah, there's so many reasons why things end up the way they are. You know, anything from schedules to time limitations to just performance issues. That feel right there. Maybe if you put a bunch of trees there, suddenly on the original console, which was, I guess, what was it, 360? This one came out.
Yeah.
Maybe it was chugged too much. It was just slowed down so much that it wasn't worth it. And now you're facing a choice. I feel that looks empty but plays fine, or a bunch of trees and grass that slows down so much that people will complain and notice.
I know they also started development of this game on the PSP. So it's possible that they moved it over to larger consoles, and they might not even have had a lot of time to, like, I'm sure they redid the character models from scratch, and they would have rebuilt the engine, so they probably got new rendering on things, the lighting and stuff like that. But it's possible that these environments, that they slightly increased the resolution of the textures, but they didn't have enough time to repopulate the areas with larger, like, this is probably PSP levels of detail for environments.
Yeah. This
probably say
this looks like a PSP game, pretty much.
Yeah, that's sort of been like upscaled for consoles. Like, yeah, the textures are high resolution, but I suspect that they had a grassy field that was totally empty, and that was good enough on the PSP. Nobody really would have blinked twice. But then they just did the high resolution texture and had to call it a day because they had no time.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning that I'm using mods here. So the fact that you see PlayStation buttons is a mod. Textures, I have some textures mod. So this screen right here has a bunch of texture mods. It looks this good, not because it's that way by default. It's because I have some mods. I think there's some, and that's pretty much it. I think a lot of mods for this game are old and you can't even get them anymore. I'm using a mod that lets me play at high resolution, but the actual assets themselves are the way they were. I'm still not sure if mods are what unlock the DLC for me, or you just get them on the PC version straight away. But obviously I have those as well because you see Emma. With
the costumes, yeah.
Costume. Oh god, we're finally here. This is a truly magical coat he has.
Have no respect for rules and protocol. We were waiting for you, and now you try to go in by yourself.
Oh, George. I didn't see you in the parking lot, so I thought I'd wait inside.
Just watch it from now on.
Interesting branching here. There's like four different ways that this segment could play out.
We think that they're above the rules, and I'm sure I've made this point clear by now.
Calm down, George. He probably just got lost on his way here and rushed in. Right, Agent York? Let's go inside then.
I'm hoping I'm gonna get another
Hello, Sheriff.
clue scene where he, gathers all the clues and makes a conclusion.
Hi there, Fiona. We're here to see Usha. Do you know where he is?
I think Dr. Johnson is in the computer room.
A computer room? In a hospital?
Nice to meet you, Mr. FBI agent. The computer room is where our employees share a computer.
Very nice to meet you, too. I'm FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan. But how did you know I was FBI?
Easy. None of the police in this town wear cologne.
That was an insane exchange.
That scar on your face is the biggest rumor in town.
Rumors get exaggerated as they spread.
It's not meant to be real dialogue, but it is entertaining. I don't think you could just be a bad writer and accidentally make dialogue this entertaining. Sweary's other games proves that he can write well if he wants to.
North American town close to the Canadian border. A peaceful, traditional place. However, that peaceful town is shattered by terrible crime. The murder of a...
Actually, he's published a book, a detective novel recently that I want to read.
Yeah, it's not about a cat detective.
Yeah.
Fiona, don't say that.
Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. With Anna dead and all.
Don't worry. Books are written to entertain, and it's good you're enjoying it. What we're faced with here is a terrible crime committed in a real world. Much different from that of a novel. So there's no need to apologize.
Thank you, Agent York.
Sweary's a fascinating guy. He's probably one of the game developers most that I'd like to meet up with and have a chat with. I know he's quite friendly as well, interacting with fans and things like that.
Yeah, of course. It will be interesting to talk to him, pick his brain.
He speaks very good English as well. So.
It was raining. York.
Maybe it's not raining right now. Well, I think the game gave you $15 just for looking at the TV.
Nice. Maybe there was some cash on the TV and he just took it. I think we should get some coffee. It's been a while. There should be a vending machine here, hopefully. Okay, I want to speak with you, George. You're a bit of an a-hole. Okay, that's where we need to go. Let's talk to Emily. All right. Call. Okay, let's save, I guess. He opens doors like he's in a horror movie, horror game.
If you are sprinting, he'll open doors faster, just like in Resident Evil 4.
Oh, sorry. What? Press what?
If you're sprinting when you open a door, he'll open it faster.
Okay.
For the sake of brevity here, sir, let's get you to some gameplay.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a lot of time left.
Should I just go to the marker then?
Yeah, might as well.
All right. Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna get to a point where we're shooting or beating up stuff, but you know, you can imagine how it is. It's not, this game is not focused on that, so it's pretty basic stuff. This is a pretty mazy hospital.
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't find him.
Fiona needs to check her information.
No, I don't think so. Does the doctor like playing games by any chance?
What do you mean?
There's a message on the computer, and a card key already set in place. The king passes the rook and meets the bishop. The knight takes a pawn along for the queen.
What does that all mean?
It's a simple puzzle.
Zach, let's take him up on his challenge. You can do this, right?
They can hear you. King passes rook. Okay, king. No, yeah. King passes rook. Rook was this thing, right? No, this thing. No, this thing. And meets bishop. Which is this thing. King passes rook, meets bishop. Knight takes pawn. No, that's queen. Knight takes pawn. Takes pawn to the queen. Checkmate. All right.
The doctor awaits below with the deceased.
Another code? But there's nowhere to insert a password.
More games. I'm going to get Fiona to call Usha up here right now.
Oh, man, George is a feisty one.
Appeared with the card key. It's telling us where to use it.
This is not the time to be joking around, Agent Morgan.
Dr. Usha is below with the deceased. With Anna. Below being underground, I take it. Simple. Simple. Then it's time to meet the mischievous architect of this little game.
Nah.
So someone set up this elaborate puzzle just to leave it to these three.
Oh, is he the chess guy?
Usha. Usher?
Like the rapper?
Yeah, I was gonna say. All right, let's meet Usher in the basement. Take our clothes off. Okay, basement that way.
Reminds me, I just watched the new Fast and Furious. So there's a character called Lil B. All I could think of was like the rapper.
Oh, is there a rapper called Lil B?
Yeah, Lil B.
I'm not up to date with my rapper stuff.
We'll get you up to date on the rapper stuff.
I know Bumblebee. That's a Transformer.
Lil B's been making rap for like 20 years now.
Oh. Okay. Oh. Is this the way? Oh my god, I think I'm lost here. Ah.
This is an enormous hospital for a
Yeah.
little town.
Oh my god, if you're like sick and need to get out, if it's like a zombie apocalypse, you're pretty much screwed. Oh wait, this is not where you... I know. Okay.
There you go. That's a nice fast door opening animation.
Usha, sorry to keep you waiting.
Ah, you made it. Let's get started, shall we?
Oh, it is Usher.
They actually got Usher for this game. Can you believe it?
Wait, what? Are you for real?
They spent all the games. No, it's
Oh, okay.
no, it's
I'm Usher Johnson, the doctor in this hospital.
FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan. Please call me York. Everyone calls me that.
Very well, Agent York.
Are you a forensic practitioner?
Let's just say I've dealt with corpses before.
That battle of wits, by the way. Did you create that yourself?
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to see if our FBI agent could handle the task.
I see. Well, it was pretty fun.
Oh, I'm glad you liked it.
I think these two should go on a date.
We don't have much time. We need those autopsy results.
Next time, try challenging us without obstructing an investigation. You've angered the monarch.
From the onset of rigor mortis, the stiffening of the muscles, the time of death is estimated to be between 20 and 2200 hours. That's still quite early for such a crime to take place. Note that there are 2 exterior wounds, pressure marks around the neck, and a long cut running from chest to abdomen. Blood marks on her right hand tell us she was gripping something round in her right hand. Her skull is also fractured, but that is unrelated to the cause of death. It probably happened to her after she was killed. Now, I first thought death by suffocation, due to the marks on her neck. But after further investigation, I now have a different conclusion. The direct cause of death was loss of blood from the wound.
Which means?
She was cut up while she was still alive.
Yes, a sharp knife was used. It was inserted beneath the sternum and then quickly sliced downwards. The excessive loss of blood from her internal organs is what actually killed her. Her nails are clean, and with no skin cells from the attacker. She also doesn't appear to have been bound nor badly beaten. She was apparently killed without resistance. The most tragic thing, however, was that she was unable to speak her story to anyone who could hear her cries.
Wait, what is that last thing he's saying? It's so weird.
Okay, Serge, you're saying how weird it is, but are you enjoying it?
Well, I think I said that last time as well, is that, you know, I haven't seen anything in this game that would prevent me from playing it and finishing it, to be honest. Like, it would have to be much more, much more offensive in some ways for me to just say no to a game like this. I would definitely finish it.
I'm surprised. You've got a high tolerance.
Yeah, I do have, but also I do want to see how, kind of like, what they went for. It's interesting to see what they went for in this game and how they kind of went about doing this. And I'm interested to see if there is an actual case you solve, and if it was, if it was interesting, from like just like a detective story perspective.
Criminal profiling.
I suppose if nothing else, Swery's got some other games that can offer some of the same enjoyments of the writing. Maybe being a little more have a little more satisfying gameplay to go with it, and maybe be more of a less. I mean, maybe more overtly weird, so they can get away with some less consistent writing. If that makes sense. He's got some stuff that's a little more surreal, but then the dialogue is also a little more realistic.
Yeah. Again, tidying up certain gameplay elements, the way people talk wouldn't really hurt the quirkiness. I think you can still achieve quirkiness with good writing, right? It doesn't need to be one or the other, or gameplay doesn't need to be annoying to you to still have something interesting. I'm not saying this game doesn't have anything overly offensive in terms of gameplay either. You just, some of the spaces are a bit mazy and wait, what's happening right now?
There's the...
Oh, okay. So do I need to find clues? Okay, I guess I did the thing.
From her lack of resistance, I'd say that Anna's injuries happened very quickly. Unable to speak, she was then left to cry herself to death.
Zach, it's all starting to come together.
The perpetrator stayed with her for at least 2 hours until it stopped raining. At the estimated time of her death, it was still...
How does he know that he stayed with her?
You can still see tear marks on her cheeks. That means she was killed under a roof somewhere. She was then carried into the woods after it stopped raining.
There's one other thing. Her tongue was removed with a very blunt knife. In fact, it's more likely it was simply chopped off.
Asha, are you a passionate man?
Well, not particularly, but I am man enough should the moment call for it.
George, how about you?
I'm very passionate, yes. Especially when it comes to women.
Oh, man.
Thing is, these aren't necessarily throwaway lines. As the story develops more, these aren't just weird lines. These aren't necessarily just lines for the sake of being lines. If that makes sense.
We'll never get a dental print from a wound like this. But this is still a big lead.
Jackpot, Zach. A shame, but our old-time all-American sightseeing tour just came to an end.
This case is now under the jurisdiction of the FBI. I'm assuming command. I'll need you to assist me in the investigation.
What in the hell do you mean, Agent Morgan? I know I said I was passionate, but you can't think I did this.
That's not why I'm assuming command, George. You're a suspect just as much as every other passionate man on Earth. Let me show you something. There you go. Amazing, huh? I'm sure you have a lot of questions, but most of the details are top secret. George, Emily, we should be going. No need to stay here any longer.
Okay. I have to sign the release. Just give me a moment.
Very well. I'll go on ahead. I can't take it any longer down here.
You forgot your bags.
Takes queen. His rook takes your queen. Then your knight takes rook. And checkmate.
Huh?
Yeah, the story at first is a little not confusing, but it doesn't immediately set up what's really happening, what his real motivations are for coming here, or what exactly is going with this mystery. But
yeah, you mentioned before that there was a bigger case he was chasing, and I'm glad we got to this point. Actually, we're about to wrap up, but he kind of showed these characters and you as a player that this is related to his other case, that he found these red seeds, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that they don't immediately tell you everything that you need to know about this big case off the get-go. But one thing that I kind of mentioned in the last recording is where he'd actually spoken about how he approaches writing in games, and he talks about how when he writes a game, he starts the player off with 3 mysteries at the beginning. A mystery about the main character, a mystery about the world, and a mystery about the story. So when you start this game, you ask yourself, why has York come to this town? Like, what is this mystery going on? Who is this guy in the raincoat? Why are these zombie people showing up? And who is Zach that York is talking about? So those are 3 different kinds of questions that string the players along throughout the game. Something that you got to do when you start off a game is you've got to establish some narrative and give the player some things that they have questions about. That, oh my god, the game crashed again. Holy crow.
Let me try.
No, I mean that was an hour. That was an hour that you played, so that's perfect. I mean, do you feel sufficiently interested in the story?
Yeah, for sure. Murder mystery is always a very good way to. This game kind of, because it reminds you so much of Twin Peaks, and I'm a fan of Twin Peaks. I think it's a game that would interest me no matter what. So I'm looking forward to playing and finishing it. And I think I'm gonna, unfortunately we didn't get to certain gameplay elements, so I'm gonna just overlay some of that footage from our first recording, specifically where I was fighting zombies and spirits and some other bits, but again, they weren't that exciting, so you guys are not missing much. I think we kind of covered quite a lot of the main gameplay of this game. I guess you would be driving around to these various places and just progressing your case. How long is it?
Maybe 15 hours.
Oh, actually, that was shorter than I thought you would say.
Well, yeah. I mean, when I think of a single player game like this, I think maybe 8 or 10 hours or something. So I was a little surprised. But then, I mean, yeah, it does have this open world setting, so there's certainly some padding. But it's the kind of thing, yeah, it's more than some of its parts. You have to really be into the writing and just be in for the entire experience, and yeah, be willing to put up with a bit of slog that is fortunately easy enough that you can just sort of breeze through it. It's a great game too. When I played this game the first time, I had a friend hanging out on the couch with me, and we just kind of chatted and laughed and enjoyed the experience while we played a bit of it together. And sometimes I trade off with them with the driving and the combat or stuff when I got sick of it. So
yeah, is this town is that the main setting of the game? You don't really go anywhere else, right?
Most of the games in the town, yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Cool. That will wrap up Deadly Premonition. Thanks for joining us, guys.
All right, here we are, Child of Light. I just watched. Maybe I should do a new game again for people to see.
Yeah, might as well. This is Child of Light. Came out in 2014. Ubisoft Montreal. Ian, you mentioned that you haven't played this before. Don't really know. Do you know how this game actually plays? Then
I know it's a turn-based RPG.
Yes, ATB, full on, with a kind of side-scrolling environments and a very artistic approach. Used the Ubisoft art framework engine. Came out in 2014, like I mentioned. Eventually got ported to different platforms. Came out in 2018 on Switch. They teased some maybe sequel or prequel, but nothing has materialized so far.
I was saying one of the things I remember hearing around when this came out was that the film industry, the big studios, structure their businesses such that every year they have big heavy hitters, but they also usually have a few smaller projects that they release to, maybe one of them becomes a breakout hit, or even it just helps the studio generate new ideas and gives some of the creatives at the studios an outlet to get a little experimental. And it seems like, at least around this time, Ubisoft had a similar kind of thing. You can kind of see that with EA these days as well. Like, Serge, you know the game It Takes Two?
I know of it. I haven't played it myself.
Yeah, so I have played A Way Out, which is the similar kind of game from the same developer. It Takes Two is definitely one on my list. But, it doesn't feel like an EA game because EA are about these big, AAA, quadruple A titles. But I think it's great that, every once in a while, a company like EA or a company like Ubisoft can release these smaller scale projects.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the good things about this game, that it can even exist and come out from a publisher like Ubisoft. But the thing that stood out for me was the actual gameplay, the ATB, and that it was actually allowed to exist with such a gameplay. And I'm always on the lookout for games that actually try to incorporate that into the modern games and see if they can actually make it work. And this is one of the games that actually did. So you play as Aurora, and actually this takes place in Austria, 1895, I think. And I think already you could see, I'm not sure if it was part of the intro, but this whole game is takes place and written in rhymes. Did you notice that?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Yeah, so everyone talks
Cute.
in rhymes. It's very a bit jarring at the start, and sometimes I felt like when playing this, sometimes the rhyming didn't really land that well, but for the most part it works.
Do you know if this game's actually based on Austrian fairy tales or something?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm not actually sure if they are.
Right away, I've noticed this is one of those games where jumping is faster than walking.
Well, yeah, but pretty soon you'll be flying anyway, so...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this game, once you get flying, you will always be able to fly. And actually, that's one of the another interesting part of this game is that the way they design the environments here takes into account that you can always fly. And it's actually pretty challenging if you think about it. When you think about normal 2D platformers, you can always rely on the fact that gravity is there for you to help you as a level designer to make sure that you somewhat control how players traverse the environments. But when you have flying, unrestricted flying, then suddenly you have to think completely different about your environments and how you design them.
Aurora.
Yes.
Well, I wonder how many people who worked on this game are still at Ubisoft. Ah, okay.
I don't know, but if they were promised a sequel, they've been had, I think, at this point. Next year is going to be 10 years since this game came out.
Grab for me. This is actually it's a little bit of Super Mario Galaxy on the Wii. You can use your Wii pointer to pick up coins and things like that.
Oh yeah, you're controlling the Wisp yourself.
Yeah, with the right thumbstick.
I forgot about that.
This is an obvious fit for. I think they put this game on the PS Vita, and that would be an obvious fit for the touchscreen.
Yeah, they did. It's on Vita as well. Although I don't know if that's Vita has a touchscreen, but if you think about it, playing this kind of game and then touching your screen at the same time, you would probably still use the right stick there.
They probably give you both options.
Doesn't this remind you of the Bayonetta prequel we talked about a few episodes ago? The one that came out on the Switch?
Yeah, Cereza.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I wield a sword.
There you go. The ATB, the really surprising element in this game, I think. Kind of this artistic visuals, really Western style look, and then this kind of JRPG classic combat system here.
So, for you, I mean, before I get too into this, do you feel like this is a classic battle system, or because it's a Western developer and made in the modern era, is it different enough that it's doing its own thing?
No, so I think one thing that actually attracted me to this game, and it stayed with me for all these years, is that they took a really classic ATB system, really kind of from Final Fantasy VII, I would say, and made it, I don't want to say simplified, but made it really work for this game and showed that that is a really universal system. And not only that, not only the actual combat itself, but also the way you progress your characters and learn new skills. I think I mentioned in the previous episode when I revealed this game as the one I'm going to be playing, is that this game doesn't overstay its welcome with everything it does. It's about 10 to 12 hour game.
Mm-hmm.
And also it's a JRPG essentially in terms of gameplay. So they had to kind of marry these two concepts together and make sure that by the end of the game you have engaged with all the systems enough and there's not many leftovers. So, you know, the way you learn new skills, by the end of the game you've learned most of them, I guess. And the way you progress your characters makes sense for the length of the game as well. And I think it's actually quite hard to do in these kind of JRPG style systems, because you can end up, you know, if you don't, let's say if there's a game that you don't grind enough, or there's your main story is not long enough for the actual systems, then you might have a problem.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I love a lot of my favorite RPGs are actually really short. They trim the fat. They don't overstay their welcome. But there is, I suppose, a challenge in adopting a genre that's known for these really long epics, where the gameplay, the battle system, all the gameplay systems reveal themselves slowly over time, and then adapting that into a much shorter length game.
Yeah, balance is really hard to get right. And this game also has some multiple characters. I think, I'm not sure if we're going to get to that point in 1 hour, but I think it has more characters than you can have in combat. So you have that classic JRPG thing of like, well, who am I going to take here? I have Aurora and then two others, but maybe I have 5 characters overall. Again, I'm not actually sure. I think you have more than you can take with you. So you also have that choice. And actually, if you go back for a second to the skill page, so you see here, it's, you know, it's a pretty understandable, straightforward system here. And by the time you finish the game, you will have explored the skill tree enough fully so that you can develop your characters appropriately. There's a couple of more systems that will come in play, and they also kind of...
Is it the kind of game where by the end, regardless of, you know, you make choices, but you're making choices over which ones you want first. By the end of the game, you've pretty much unlocked everything?
I don't think everything. No, I don't think everything, but you will have reached the logical end of whatever you were exploring in terms of those systems. I think I'm now realizing that one thing they smartly did is that I don't think they have equipment in this game.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would have probably, that is the point where I feel like they could have really dropped the ball in terms of, like, you know, imagine if these enemies had drop chances and equipment. You know, this game is not a game that you go back to previous areas a lot, or I'm not even sure if you can do that, but it's one of the tools they use to make sure that the pace is appropriate. And I guess good thing that they didn't have equipment, because it would have really kind of got in the way, I think.
Well, you know what all this reminds me of is Final Fantasy X, which is a fairly linear game, which has a kind of similar progression system with the sphere grid, where every time you level up, you actually distribute stats through other ways, other means, and then there is no equipment in that game.
Wasn't there weapons you can get?
You know, that is right. There are weapons you can get, but there's no I don't think there's any accessories. There's no armor, nothing like that you'd get in the other games.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess I remember now. You can equip these essentially slots, like you can gems to your equipment. Well, the default equipment characters have. So Aurora has this huge sword, so you can then kind of combine these crystals into different effects.
Oh, I see. Oh, wow. So they gave me... I have quite a bit of these already.
Yeah, I think, aren't these the things you were just picking up with the Wisp?
Oh, are they? Is that what they are?
They might have been, yeah.
Wow, so many options right at the get-go. Okay.
I think you can kind of craft your way. Like, I think you can maybe combine them or like destroy them into like different materials.
Yeah, let's go with that for now.
So in combat, you can actually use the Wisp. I don't know if they already told you that on.
Yeah,
or not.
yeah. Well, you can grab some stuff here too.
Well, you can grab, but it can also go to the enemy and
slow them down.
Get in their way.
Some foes are vulnerable. Oh, okay. Act. I don't have magic yet, do
I? You maybe not yet, but also maybe not with Aurora.
Okay. It's weird that they show me that then.
So I think, yeah, like if you press a button, then the Wisp simply delays the...
That's what I'm doing.
Right, okay. I like how when she gets hit, her crown falls and she has to pick it up.
Oh, I actually do have a meter with this little guy. So now I need to grab wishes. More of these things if I want to. So that's what they're for.
See, the thing is, like, that's the thing I like about the ATB system, and that's how I think. Well, I believe that that's how you would bring the ATB system into modern games and make it really fun. Is finding ways to have it be more interactive in general. Not just you get into a fight, you have attack, magic, defend, and that's it. Then you can just fall asleep. You have to think of ways to engage players as they're fighting these battles, because the truth is that sometimes they are a bit boring because they can be repetitive sometimes. And if you have more ways for players to interact with the enemies and anything else, the better it is.
I mean, you can see with this game, much like the later turn-based Final Fantasy titles, they're adding all of these timing elements to make action gameplay out of turn-based. So you still have time to think about your motions, and you're still being slightly tactical with how you approach things, but you do need to consider how long anything's going to take. And yeah, this little wisp guy is, I mean, it adds a layer of active thought to fights where you can only focus one enemy at a time as far as slowing down, so you need to prioritize targets. I suppose little stuff like that makes it more compelling.
Yeah, they definitely thought about how to streamline the ATB and make it just that much funner. Well, I mean, fun with some of the stuff, some of the unique stuff they have here. I mean, you haven't had much tutorials here, and you know, you're already like on your way fighting these enemies and having, you know, using their weaknesses, casting magic.
Yeah, the pacing is really brisk, and also I haven't had to think about it too much. It's just been kind of a mellow thing, which is cool. I'm always down for that.
You know what? I forgot that you can actually hold them outside of combat and then avoid them like that. That's cool.
I like that. I mean, with turn-based games, for the most part, they are games where you have this field screen and then you have this battle screen with a totally different set of actions that you can take. But I see something like that as a way of bridging the gap and making it so that, you know, here's a skill that if you can do it in the battle screen, then you can also do it in the field screen.
Yeah, that's the whole, the age-long problem, right? The design problem of, like, how do you balance that? How do you make sure that if players avoid enough of them, they don't gimp themselves and become weaker than they should be? If you force your fights, essentially by having enemies off screen, like the classic Final Fantasy VII, right? If you do that, then obviously you have all the control because, well, even then players can flee the combat, so you still have to worry about that. And I never felt that this game had an issue with that. I'm sure I avoided certain fights. I tend to fight most of them because first of all, I enjoy the system. But I want to say, even if you're a player that kind of tries to avoid quite a few of them, you should still be fine. I mean, obviously there's extremes with anything, right? Like maybe you could get to a point in this game where you're so underpowered that you're just stuck. You know, it's a really difficult thing to solve, I think, in this type of game.
I'm having difficulty here. Yeah, don't need to do this bit right now. I was able to lower this, but that makes okay. Oh, I didn't realize that was how it worked. Yeah, I wonder if I could just... No, okay. Yeah, they made sure that I couldn't just do that. It's interesting because there's no towns, there's not a lot of NPCs to talk to. They've added all these puzzle elements that you don't usually get in RPGs.
There's totally towns.
Oh, okay. Well, we haven't seen any yet, so what do you give the player when they're not fighting monsters?
No, yeah, I mean, I can see, you could have made this game entirely just, her journey, and she would be talking to Wisp or herself or something. But there's definitely towns here, actually, and I think side quests as well.
Nice. Okay, so those are the gems. They just started me off with a lot. These little things are just to refill my Wisp meter.
Right, yes. Yeah.
Ah. This guy.
Yeah, actually, so you do have a magic. You have like a starlight spell.
Yeah, they told me about using magic before I'd actually unlocked a skill.
Oh, okay.
Because it was optional and I'd kind of worked around it.
This game can get actually pretty challenging. I remember there are some fights that are not that easy.
She interrupted me because she hit me while I was casting.
Yeah. I just like these like really understandable systems that kind of like when they happen, it makes so much sense. But before they happen, you don't even think about them, right? Like, of course, it makes sense that while you're casting, if someone hits you, you get interrupted. But like, to put them all together in a really compelling way, I think that is the biggest strength of this game right there.
See, she just had her turn, so I'll have time to cast now. Whereas before, if you wait until if you start casting right as her turn is coming around, then she's gonna hit me.
Yeah. I mean, look, we're not, we're not discovering here some sort of, this is.
No, but they're doing a lot with just a few things.
Yeah, and I think, in the context of like Final Fantasy 16 and 15 and the whole feelings towards ATB these days, especially from not only Western but also Japanese developers, it just makes you wonder what kind of like the state of it and if it has a place in modern gaming. I mean, of course, I think it does, but I think a lot about that and how to, how to engage players and make them like it again, or if that's even something worth pursuing.
Let's see. Not sure what I'm looking for here.
Have you tried blue?
Have I? But what do I do once I flip it to a color?
Have you try your wisp on that color?
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, because they had me do that earlier. Very early on, but I didn't realize that was a repeating concept. Let's try it. Oh, I need to slow him down. Cool. Those are vulnerable. That's good. Oh, shoot. This doesn't look good. Oh, wait, I'm hitting the wrong guy. No, I guess it's okay.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
You know what, even just collecting this wisp juice is something that you can do on the enemy's turn. So it's something to think about.
Yeah, I like that. I want to say, maybe I'm imagining this, but maybe you can even use your wisp to speed yourself up. Maybe not yet, or maybe...
No.
Well, you see, because when you hover over yourself, it appears there.
It seems like I can give myself mana, maybe?
Maybe mana, yeah. Which is actually pretty good as well.
Mm-hmm.
the sun shone upon a land of sequined valleys and peaks of white, and at night ruined castles glowed with alabaster light. From the stars and the crescent moon, a queen of light ruled this rambling place. Each night she walked the palace alone, her luminosity dawn's own face. Until one night there was no trace. The queen had vanished, and with her the light. Dark resided in its place. The usurper, Umbra, hid from sight. She sent her daughters in her stead. The sun, the stars, and the crescent moon, they pilfered from the sky, extinguished them with the monsoon. Then Umbra's dark creatures conquered the land. Our lives soon snuffed out by a wave of her hand.
This little wisp guy reminds me a lot of. You have a very similar looking partner in the Klonoa games, actually, or in the first Klonoa game. That's something I might get you to play at some point. Actually, they share a lot of things in common. It's also a story about traversing dreams with this storybook kind of premise. And it has a surprisingly nice little story for a children's platformer. That's the biggest difference, is that it's more of a traditional platformer. Nights into Dreams. You ever played that one?
No.
That's a good one too. That's by Sonic Team.
Sorry, bye.
Woo! Very nice.
Forest far from home, starlight only to guide her, except for a fine fly alone. Anxious for the comforts, a family who could not trace her, searching for the sun and moon, a father to embrace her. And somewhere in the night, perched upon a throne in the dark, waited Umbra, the usurper, to snuff out Aurora's spark.
Do you know how many chapters there are in the game off the top of your head?
Oh, don't remember. This was 3, right?
Yeah.
Probably, 18, 20? I don't know. 15?
Here we go. We got some towns. It's one of those games you just can't dislike. You just can't help but like it. It's far too honest and creative.
Yeah, this game has heart for sure.
Oh, he's joined my party. Wow.
Yes, the Jester. I like her. She's your party member.
Is it an all-female party?
No, I don't think so. No, they really don't. It doesn't take much for people to join your party, actually.
Reminds me of Valkyrie Profile.
Yeah.
Just this massive party of characters without I mean, they have like a little background in VP, but it's not like a traditional RPG.
No, yeah, that's one thing that this game kind of, I think maybe they consciously decided to have characters that, say things and have some sort of background presence in this world, but you're not going to be doing, this is not going to be a Mass Effect thing of like they're going to have, their own storylines and missions and.
Yeah, I mean, if it's her story, if it's a specific story, then why muddy that with making it a story about a ton of other people?
Yeah, I guess I see it. Maybe there was some sort of like, you have to. Yeah, this is her story, but also this is a JRPG with a bunch of characters in your party. So, how do you balance? Like, do you completely ignore their personal stories, or do you go all out on that? And this game mostly decided to kind of have them as background. For the most part, I think some of them, okay, I actually don't quite exactly remember, but I think they have maybe like a one quest that you do for them along the way, and that's pretty much it. And they don't really have any kind of, I don't know, maybe you can even skip them. Like the jester there, she was on that platform, you can just fly past her. Maybe it's not like you're gated.
Wow, so they give you, so do these characters start at the same level as you? They have separate levels? Because this jester starts with 6 skill points to spend.
I mean, it looks like they start the same level as when you find them, that you are the same level as you are, I guess.
Revive, that's Sandy.
Yeah, I think she is your healer for the most part, if I remember correctly. If you go to the Oculi section in the menu, what does that have now? Okay, so you should equip the jester as well.
Oh, yeah. Let's get some evades. Evade when casting. That looks like a huge thing in this game. You know what? Let's. Yes, chance of dodging, that's what I want. And I'll do... Oh, wait. I'll do Paralyze. Because that will be handy, because that'll stop enemies... Anything to stop enemies interrupting spellcasting. Right, okay, we've looped around here. No. I can see how even at this point, someone who's really into min-maxing could be crafting gems and playing around with things.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember how you combine them. Is that in the inventory menu or in Oculi? Can I actually do that?
Yep. You mix them together to make stronger ones.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, that's actually, you can then combine different colors to create new ones. Yeah.
This is also one of those games where it's pretty easy to avoid enemies. So far, at least.
Yeah, so this is definitely where it gets really easy to avoid them. Obviously, in these kind of cases, actually, even here you can avoid her. Yeah, so I think I remember playing it and thinking, okay, I should probably be mindful of that because, you have levels, you have all the stats. So there are definitely fights that are harder than others, especially bosses. Some of the boss fights are pretty challenging.
They've just given me a ton of permanent stat raising items.
Actually, what are those? Are those, yeah, like, do they raise? Ah, okay, yeah.
Let's bump her up. Oh.
What's that letter you have there, or is it a piece of paper?
Rubella's plight. Because this is her side quest, basically.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Crits and speed. I'm assuming that Aurora is going to be the all-rounder.
I mean, it's always good to pump things into Aurora.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't lose characters in this game. Like, once you get them, they stay with you. But you can only bring 2 of them into combat. So
it's funny how, yeah, just flying around changes the feel of all the exploration.
Oh yeah. And you don't really have map or mini map. So this is one of those games that you have to kind of create a mental image of the world in your head. I think I do have a map. Do you have a map? Maybe you have it in the menu.
Nope.
Map. Yeah, there is a
Oh,
map.
wait. Yeah. Later,
But,
maybe I can get a map.
Yeah.
Do you know the game Odin Sphere?
Yeah.
Have you played that one before?
I haven't played it myself, but I know of it.
That's a good one. I won't bring it on here because I've never actually finished it, but that is the kind of game that you would like, especially if you like this. Okay. Heal, aimable protection, revive. Right.
I think the sound design, well, both music and sound design are really good in this game as well. I really like the soundtrack. And all this, Rubella gets hit and all the gesture jingles start popping off.
Jingle is popping off. Oh no. Oh my gosh. I wasn't paying attention. Alright, Jingle, do your thing. Oh, I'm getting interrupted here, aren't I?
Depends. You should try reviving. It's your only option here.
At least, I was worried this might be the kind of game where if the protagonist gets hit, then that's game over. Or the protagonist dies, it's game over. Oh, jeez.
No, but I'm not sure you can actually survive this anymore.
I can flee.
I think this is... oh, okay.
Nice. It's one of those games that revives you automatically after battle, brings you to 1 HP.
See if you can heal Rubella as well.
Oh, yeah. Oops. Oh, right. This is a boss fight. I wasn't even thinking about it. Of course, it put me in the...
She can heal as well, so you should just do that if she has damage.
That's cool. Let me even run from boss fights.
Yeah, I didn't remember that at all, actually. That's another kind of small addition, like a kind of quality of life that you can do.
Actually, the Dragon Quest games, even some of the older ones, that you do that. You run away in the middle of boss fights because there's some fights where, you go to boss fights in games and, actually you want a specific item equipped that you only learn once you go into the fight. So now you have to restart the game just to get in the fight.
Yeah, I mean, most JRPGs will have some sort of intro cutscene conversation, so it's a bit weird to then run away and then be able to come back. It's a bit gamey, but...
It's a bit gamey, but the alternative is, oh shoot, I didn't mean to... No! Oh, she's gonna die.
By the way, did you see that he has like the big guy has a counter to specific things? I forgot about
that
as well.
Magic.
Oh man, this is such a simple concept as well, and so interesting. Like, suddenly you know immediately what that means. Like, you cast a spell on him and he counters that. From then on, you know, I better not cast a thing on him.
Mm-hmm. You know, this is obvious. I need to get these hounds out of the way first.
Yeah, they hurt.
Oh no! So you know how when I played Final Fantasy VIII, it took a while to get into the meat of the battle system. Wow, this game's already got me thinking about things. Oh shoot! Oh, this game's already got me thinking, and having to react with everything I've got against these.
Yeah, there's value in systems that make you feel that you're not an idiot, right? Make you feel that you can use them in interesting ways, and they don't need to do like some sort of brain surgery just to get some sort of interesting effects from it.
You know what it is? The cursor doesn't have any memory. It doesn't remember that I healed Aurora last time, so I don't want to heal. Like it'll default to this Jester again. Uh-oh. Okay, well I have to heal the Jester.
I would say just heal yourself with Aurora as well.
Oh yeah, the potion. Let's top her up. There we go.
Nice. Actually, I'm really glad this fight is here. This is a good indication of like the type of kind of boss type encounters you will have in this game.
Heal her up. They got the wishes respawning here too, which is nice. It's a nice little system because it means that if, like, as a developer, you can assume if a fight's dragging on that the player probably needs a little assistance. And so just by having these things come back after a little while helps them. So,
yeah, it's like managing your the resources you have in combat, like, smartly, I guess.
Interrupted. There's a little bit of Grandia in here as well, with the time gauge.
Yeah.
Right, now I can interrupt him. Now there are enemies later on in the game that can't be blinded by this wisp's light.
Oh yeah, like some of the bigger bosses, you won't be able to do that. So in that case, you would mostly use him to get yourself mana back and stuff like that.
You know, I guess it's good by giving the player sort of a little open area to fly around, and then giving them a fairly challenging boss encounter right away. The game's basically saying, if you don't feel like you're equipped to handle this guy, just go back and explore. Because you could open treasure chests, you can get in fights and level up, you can explore the systems.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't want to shit too much on Final Fantasy VIII, like you mentioned, but like the answer is somewhere there, right? Because Final Fantasy VIII has such a it has a rough start, but the system it has is a lot more complicated. Does that mean that, what does that mean? Like, is it good because how would you judge it? By the end of the game or by the start of the game? Because potentially Final Fantasy VIII has much more options in a later game where you would have a lot more customization options, a lot more build options. So that would potentially allow you to have a better experience at the end. While this game maybe would never have that. I mean, it doesn't even need it because it's only like 12 hours, right? So what is the actual correct answer here? What, like, in your opinion, Ian, do you think... I think we actually talked about a similar thing with Final Fantasy VIII in the previous episodes, where it's like, did it have even a chance to do anything else because the systems were so complicated that they had to explain it to you?
Well, let's put it this way: if any game could afford to take its time with the opening, it would be the sequel to Final Fantasy VII, because everybody bought a copy, everybody had crazy expectations, everybody's going to give it some time, give it a chance. So they can afford to reveal itself the slower opening, but if you don't have a name like Final Fantasy backing it, you probably need to impress players off the get-go.
I guess maybe the answer is different for each of these games. Like this game for sure. If this was let's say 40 or 80 hour game, like a full-on long JRPG, I can see how the systems they have here would just fall apart at some point. If you think about it, like,
yeah,
the gems, you could only combine and equip so many of them before you would need a lot more systems to back you up. The skills as well, they could last, I guess, but they would have to be a lot bigger skill trees and maybe with certain synergies between each other. But because of the length of the game, length of the story, that just kind of falls in line with the rest of the flow of the game, right?
I need to figure out these interruptions. I'm getting interrupted all the time.
Yeah, actually, now I'm remembering this was a big part of almost every fight. Like, sometimes I would just defend, actually, because I knew they would interrupt me. Like here, I think I would just defend with Bella, because there's a good chance that... Actually, can you defend? Yeah, you can.
Where?
Here.
Oh, yeah. There you go. You can also see where this really is about the numbers, the number of enemies that you have against you. If you can eliminate the other enemies and just slow and focus one target, you can keep interrupting them. Whereas if you're facing up against three enemies, I mean, you can see from these platforms here that at least right now, you can only be up against 3 enemies at a time in these battles. It's clear that the number of enemies is one of the most damaging things they can set against you.
Yeah, with bosses, they kind of break that rule a bit, because sometimes you'll have like a huge boss, let's say like, I don't know, a Hydra with 5 heads, and they don't need platforms. They'll just have like 5 heads, and while your team is going to be on platform. So they have flexibility with that. So I think with normal enemies, it's always going to be like platform based.
I see, paralyzed, so he doesn't move on the. She doesn't move on the time meter.
So we are almost out of time. Let's see if we can get to the first town. Maybe I don't remember if that's the next thing you do, but if we can get to that town, maybe speak with a couple of NPCs to show that off. Actually, you had a map introduced, right? Can you actually use that to travel somewhere?
It's for fast traveling to places I've already been to.
Okay, that's fine. No, then you can't. Yeah, that's fine. Just fly around. I guess if we find the town, that's fine.
We've made pretty good progress.
No, yeah, I think at this point you've seen everything except the town, and from here on, that's essentially what you have for the rest of the game. You get more, like I said, you get more characters joining you. I think at least 2 more. There's like a golem and maybe like a kind of hermit type character. I think that's one thing I remember thinking of, like they have characters you can swap in and out, but I felt like for the length of the game, it should have just probably been the 3 characters you meet, like Aurora, Rubella, and one more. But actually you meet more than that, and you end up. I think I just stuck with the 3. Like I think I always had Rubella with me, and then maybe the golem.
Do you think maybe if they just had a static cast, that they could have had more time to give each one a backstory and a personality?
Yeah, actually, I think that's the one thing I would maybe change in this game, if anything. Like, have just the main cast, and yeah, maybe a bit more personality to them. Even Aurora, like herself. Look, this story is a storybook, right? Like, she's on a quest, but this game is not really gonna be telling you some sort of like interpersonal relationship. There's not gonna be conflicts like that. There's main story bits, but apart from that, it's a straightforward journey.
Vulnerable with fire, my lucky day. Yeah, the one thing I could have done against that giant is play with the gems a little bit and figured out what his elemental weakness was. I'm sure that would have helped me out.
Actually, yeah. Oh yeah, actually you can heal with the wisp as well.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, that's right. And you can get mana backs too, so it's good. Come on. I've basically proven that I could beat you.
There you go. Well, that was Child of Light. Like I said, throughout the years, it kept staying out to me. I kept remembering it for being such a pleasant experience. Not just like if you look at the visuals and the sound, music, obviously it all helps, but you know, some games you play and you remember them and you feel like sometimes they were maybe annoying in certain ways or kind of, I don't know, frustrating, right? But this game really knew what it was doing, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's not often you get something like this that is in the vein of those RPGs, but taking a lot of chances at the same time, breathing new life in. I don't know how well this sold. If it was, I mean, it could have been a really big budget title, so I'm assuming that it did pretty well for you know however many copies it needed to sell to be a success.
Well, all I could find is that Ubisoft was happy with the sales, but you know, I guess not happy enough for a sequel or a prequel. It's a shame, I guess. Although at the same time, this definitely feels like a type of game that, you know, is like a one-off. They talked about certain things they could do for a prequel, maybe, but I don't know. Maybe another game like this with the same engine, but maybe not necessarily the same story or like a sequel. We don't need Aurora. I don't know. Maybe you can have something where she grows up and does another adventure, but you know.
Yeah, who's to say you need a sequel?
Yeah. Cool. That was Child of Light. Let's talk about the games we're going to play next time then. The game I'm going to have you play next time, Ian, is another actually JRPG that brought new things to the table when I played it. Really surprised me with certain things it did. Certain things I didn't even know I needed in my JRPGs, and went on to become a really famous, beloved series, and that is, of course, Xenoblade.
Xenoblade, okay, interesting. For you, well, I have considered a few things, and I could give you an RPG and just make it an RPG day, or I could give you something different and save an RPG for another time. Decisions. You know what? Yeah, let's do the RPG. I'm gonna get you to play Dragon Quest V.
All right. Yeah, you're gonna tell me why 5 next time and not 1, or are you gonna reveal that now?
It's probably one of my favorite RPGs of all time. It's my favorite in the series. Let's leave it at that.
All right. We'll talk about it then. I have not played any Dragon Quests, and actually 1 was that on NES? I guess it was.
It is. Yeah. I mean, these Dragon Quest games are on everything. Even 5 has had multiple remakes, and I'm gonna see if we can get you to play a very specific version that is near and dear to my heart.
Nice. Before we finish off, I do want to mention one thing though, because it's related to the showcase that we did. Actually, I'll mention this, that sometimes we do gameplay sections of the podcast like a different day, depending on how much time we have, and this is the case today as well. It's actually been a few days since the showcase, the PlayStation showcase we did, and the usual suspects, Xbox UK Twitter, have been trolling, and they posted a post saying, "What a good-looking group," and had all of or most of the games that were shown in the PlayStation showcase coming to Xbox as well. That I found really funny. I'm glad that there's still this kind of trash talking between them. But it's also true that it's most of those games are coming to Xbox. So
yeah, I mean, Sony had a good show, but maybe it wasn't a good show if you are looking for compelling reasons to justify your purchase of a PlayStation 5. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that if maybe all of those games, apart from Spider-Man, are actually coming to everything else. But
and we already knew about Spider-Man. That wasn't. It was a gameplay showcase, was new, but we all knew that game existed. So I don't know. I don't remember what it was they announced there that was actually a new, exciting PS5 exclusive that we hadn't heard about. So
yeah, that is the state of consoles today. All right, cool. That will do for the show. We'll see you next time, everyone.
See you next time.